What are your thoughts on Natty Or Not?
I think they're useless. Most people who really, truly care about Natty Or Not don't go to the gym. Oh, now I can't get a six-pack because Liver King lied?
Yes, I've done steroids.
What I hate about it, if we're going to start getting into morals, who in the are you?
Who the are you?
Who is this person that's claiming that this other person is lying, and what's it for?
You have the audacity?
The audacity.
To like berate somebody for potentially lying.
Nowadays, you got guys 18, 19, peptides, SARMs.
When it comes down to it, it's like you're getting rewarded. You're getting more subscribers, more followers.
What's the deal with Greg Doucette?
He was in my wedding. He was one of the first people to see my kid born. It was surprising to me that that's what it took for our friendship to be. That's it.
Yeah.
Get ready for it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man, we should have set it up so he could like fucking DJ for us and shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Wait, who?
This guy. Have you guys heard some of his fucking beats?
No.
He's fucking incredible.
A dilly-dally.
I didn't know.
No, I was really, I mean, I listened to I think I saw a few of them on there, on your IG.
That was the latest one was the...
I was listening to it, I'm like, is he doing it? And then I was like, whoa, shit, this is really good.
My brother's a pro.
Damn.
DJ.
How do you be a pro? How do you turn pro?
He gets signed. He write music and gets signed.
Oh, okay.
And he gets, he works for EDM.com. So and we're all musicians. So picking up a controller is like playing the piano almost.
I think that's cool. You've always been musically inclined?
It's in those theory, yeah.
And like, what do you think the difference is between someone that can like find the beat and hear it versus someone that maybe can't?
It's
Other than skin color.
where are we going with this one?
No, I just think it's cool that like different sports or different things hit people different ways. And sometimes when somebody goes to pick up something new, they pick it up right away.
Yeah. Bad sounds to me is like high definition nonsense. I hear it immediately. And then like, it's kind of, but then, you know, if you like music's one of those things like anything else, you either have the gift for it or you don't.
And it still needs to be practiced.
And you 100%.
Yeah.
I will, like you have to. If you don't, then you just kind of lose it and then look at that douche.
Have you ever had your YouTube canceled before? Like what we went through recently?
No, but I had a strike. So I know what you guys, well, I mean, when it happened to you guys, I was like, man, that sucks. And then I'm like, you guys are probably good. Because when I had my strike, I was like, my heart stopped. I was like, oh my God, I flashed back to years. I'm like, I lost my channel, my business is gone. I'm poor on the street somewhere. Like, I had a full breakdown. So when you guys, I was like, oh man, I'm like, Slingshot, yeah, Mark probably good. You know, he could probably do another one. And then I look at your other channel, like, his other channel's got big anyway. What the?
Yeah, right.
Just move it over there.
Right.
But yeah, I had it almost just a strike.
And what was it for?
So I had, beginning of my intro was, here's Johnny, and I had Guerrilla Radio. It was like, here's Johnny, and then that was it, 11 seconds. And it went on for like, I had someone make it for me for like 3 years ago. And we got a strike, and I read it, because I usually get one that's like, yeah, don't worry, it's not a strike against your channel, it's just whatever. Like, I thought it was one of those, and I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, you have a strike? I'm like, strike? I'm like, and my heart was like, what the heck? And I commented, I'm like, dude, where did this come from? And he's like, oh no, I'm checking. And he's looking, he's like, bro, it's the intro. I'm like, what intro? The intro. I'm like, the intro's in every one of our videos. So I'm on the chat help thing, and I'm like, can you get copyright strike more than once from the same person? Long story short, like, yes. I'm like, huh. I'm like, all right, give me a sec. So I messaged I think it was the lawyer, producer, whoever the hell it was, representative for Ranges and Machines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sir, so sorry, we didn't really know, blah, 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 blah. We're going to take all those right now. If we take them all out of all of our intros, can you take the strike down, whatever? And he's like, yeah, just let me, yeah, for sure. I'm like, cool, I'll let you know. And Editor went through every fucking video and took out 11 seconds of it. And that intro was awesome.
11 seconds? I thought we had like 15 seconds.
No, so that's all bullshit.
What?
It can be 1 second. It could be 1 second. Wow. It is up to the discretion of the person who owns that shit. Oh, so there is no like 1 second. That's why I was like, yo, like whatever it is, get it out.
Is that where some of this stuff comes from? It comes from another person? Like did that person like issue a strike towards you?
Yeah.
And then I mean, I don't know. I don't expect you to know all these things, but like can like I call a strike on someone else?
100%.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
You
we
can't-
get we get those privacy or
Athlete
copyright
Next does it to me all the time.
And does it get reviewed?
Yeah, but I don't. They can basically. Athlete Next does it all the time. Like if I go hard in the paint, the video is demonetized, or it's like share. It's like they'll do it. They'll treat it just like if you're using someone else's music, but you don't get a strike.
Yeah.
It'll be like you're getting minimal monetization or whatever, right? But if you want to be a dick and be like screw you, man, and you click, but you all know that's also like golden rule not to do.
So I think it's important to share with people like from what happened to us and sounds like what happened to you in either case. This is not about free speech. This is about right. I mean, this is
trying to be canceled, bro. I'm
just saying. Like I think that's the thing that triggered people when our show got canceled.
So I think the thing is I get that and I agree that stance 100%. But it's free speech when I'm outside, right? Like, but when even that's really not because you can chill with someone,
sort of, yeah,
whatever, right? But YouTube is a business.
Yeah,
it's a storefront. And you're in their store, and there's rules to be in their store. Yeah, and if they don't 100%. Want you in their store, they have every right to kick you out of their store.
Right.
So it's like when people are like it's not a government owned platform. It's a private platform that happens to be one of the most powerful platforms, probably the most powerful platform, really, to be honest. And if they're like, hey man, we don't like you. You don't like what you're saying. It's coming against, it's a business. Like, hey, all these things that Google is connected to. If it doesn't favor their overall business, then it's like, you got to kind of play. You got to play
rules.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate. It sucks. I think there should be a way better process to like, hey, at least 100% warning. Or even it's just like I didn't get a warning. I just got a strike. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, and I'm sure like, they can make the argument that, I've had, if you use someone else's music, and they're like, hey, it's not against your channel, no strike, but you can't get full monetization on this, whatever. I'm sure they can make a case and be like, hey, you've done it enough. This is, there's no warning for that. But there should be 100% if you get a warning or if you have to go through court systems in the real world, then you should have to go through something like that on YouTube. It shouldn't be like, wake up and be like, gone. Because it's like, did
yours get frozen or paused because of the strike or
no? Pause. So a one strike is like you have a probation on it. Like, so your one strike is almost like a warning. You have a strike, and if you do anything within that probation period, you can basically be donezo after that. So it's you don't get like less views or less anything. It's just like, here's your strike. It's on there. If you get another one within these, in this time, your channel can be, yeah.
And what's really interesting about like the copyright strikes is YouTube isn't like, they're not a moderator or whatever you want to call it. Like they're not the middle person. If a company, strikes your channel down or whatever for a copyright strike, YouTube just believes them. And when you rebuttal it, YouTube's like, dude, we're not the ones that are going to decide yes or no. You can then now take that to court if you want. But it's like, how many people are going to actually want to go the extra steps to do all that bullshit? You can submit a review, and sometimes it can get, cleared. But in most cases, like, yeah, it's up to like the person that's actually striking down on everything. And then it's like, you kind of have almost no say. So it's like a weird situation for creators.
Yeah. Especially if it's like the business itself or like, someone lawyer says like, hey, by the way, YouTube automatically is going to be like, done. Like if there's court already brought to our doorstep, you're done. Mm-hmm. And they'll just take it down. And then you have to go through whatever it is and then hopefully get your channel back up. But yeah.
What got you into YouTube, starting a channel and stuff?
I started a channel in 2008 for my CFL highlight tape. I have another dumb channel. It's
Canadian football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. CFL guys do that.
Is he
making fun of me or something?
I'm not. I don't even watch football. Just has to clarify.
I'm like, yeah, we have football.
You're an athlete, bro.
So, and then this other channel is just me and my buddy doing we have bags on our heads and we're doing a bag dance. It's really funny. It's hilarious, actually. Is
it still up?
It's still up. It's to a Dead Mouse song. It's called the bag dance.
I want to see this so bad.
I swear to God, it's 7 minutes. It's a full song, Dead Mouse song. Like, extended version. And we're doing this entire dance, like we're just feeding off each other's stupidity. And yeah, it's pretty funny. And then I started my channel in 2012. That was I just finished college drug addiction counseling, and then I was gonna broadcast my life online and be like, you can blow your life, and this is my comeback story basically. And I got into bodybuilding, I was watching, Ronnie Cutler, Flex Lewis, all these, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that. That's perfect. I'm gonna get a bunch of views, people are gonna see it, and great. And then did that, and then it didn't go that way whatsoever. But that's how it started. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But rewind, you were a drug addiction counselor?
No, I was in.
Oh, you were?
Yeah,
okay.
The different story. Sweet. Yeah, I was a patient. I was the person in the chair getting, doing
shit. We have our information all wrong. Let's just shut this down. I don't think there's anything else to talk about here.
Yo, thanks.
You're addicted to drugs? What the fuck, bro?
Well, honestly, that's actually really dope, because look at where you are now.
Yeah.
Like you're fucking killing it. And the fact that you were addicted to whatever it was you were addicted to, you can turn that shit around.
Yeah. That was the goal of the channel. To I saw what's his name, Brandon Marshall. Mm-hmm. He was doing a thing he was a part of time of his life was like pretty shitty, and when he was playing football, and he was going through his realization he has borderline personality disorder, and it was affecting his career. And I remember him being like, and he had the same Bible I had, and whatever, and he was like, football is my platform, mental health is my purpose. And I was like, tears in my eyes. I'm like, yeah, shit. This is exactly what I'm trying to do here with the bodybuilding stuff. So that's at the core of why I started my bodybuilding career. I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. And then going through everything that you can go through, having that disorder, and getting help when you're in your 30s is not when you're younger. You can only imagine, what kind of life you lived, going through that. So that was my thing, to kind of project my life, be transparent, be who I am. It was my way of like virtually journaling.
Yeah.
So that was my, my coping, one of my coping mechanism tools I was using, and then it turned into this.
How many people have that haven't been diagnosed? Borderline personality disorder, do you think?
Man,
do you see it sometimes and you're like, oh man, I wonder.
So it's a very tricky one. Like, I don't want to just, Google diagnose people, whatever, but there's obvious things, like if you've been through some like early childhood trauma, you're most likely probably have traits of it, right? And I find that my age, like when I was, I'm 40, and when it was clear as day, like knowing what I know now, it was clear as day that I had some issues from a very young age all the way up. But mental health wasn't anything of the such then. It wasn't, it was there, but there wasn't any real awareness around it. It was more like, here's a drug, or pray for him, or kind of thing, right? Yeah. It wasn't let's find out why, let's, go through some steps of mindfulness and awareness, and, going back down the rabbit hole, and just, trying to, get to the bottom of things, and then that acceptance and whatnot. That whole process is a very, I would say, new thing in the last, 15 years, 20 years, I would say. So it's, I think a lot of people have a lot of untreated, I would say, things. Like, I wouldn't say that everyone has more people has borderline personality disorder, but I would say that there's a lot of things that people have not been able to, or have been aware to go through. And I call it programming, right? We're all programmed by our parents, and our parents did the best they could, doing what they could. And depending on that relationship will kind of give you an idea of what the rest of your trajectory will look like until you are at that place of consciousness, where I say when you're aware that you've been programmed and you're trying to deviate from that programming. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, I always think that we're one box check away. You know what I mean? So sometimes people have a tendency to look down on someone that gets addicted to drugs, or someone that's bipolar, or whatever situation might be. And I just think, unfortunately, that could be your daughter one day. Unfortunately, that could be your son. Unfortunately, like you probably have people like, why are you talking shit about this person? You probably have someone that's really close to you that suffers from the same thing.
Yeah. I just, as a dad, it's like, I'm blessed that I was, because like I look at my parents, and I was talking about this with with Dave Tate a couple weeks ago, but we are way more conscious people now of those things. So it's easier for me as a dad to know that, like, hey man, like, and there's no way I can get away with programming. My kid's getting programmed no matter what. But I can definitely like limit the amount of what I project onto her and in that kind of like unconscious programming and whatnot. So it's like, it could be your kid one day if you're not careful of how you are treating your kid or your relationship with your partner in front of your kid. Like all those things, play a huge role in how you're programmed and how you basically navigate through life based on how you've been programmed. Mm-hmm. The word of the day is programmed.
When you were younger, like, I don't know when you found out that you had BPD, but when you realized it, what did you go back and like look at and you're like, oh shit, that makes sense. And that makes sense.
Yeah. So the unfortunate part about it is I got diagnosed late in life. So when I got through addiction counseling and whatnot, we started talking about like touching into depression. And unfortunately with my counseling at school, when I graduated, it was like, it's kind of like you're done type thing. It's like, so I got to use all the benefits of the school, whatever. Yeah. But when you start talking about depression, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Depression to me, I was like, drugs, that's bad. I'm not trying to do that again. So I was like, we're good. I can manage myself with, and that's what mental health is big. It's just being able to manage who you are, and you don't cure yourself with mental health. But I was diagnosed late. Yeah. So that was a really hard part for me, was going back, like, because with my diagnosis, and I remember things when I'm 3. Like I can go back to like the earliest times of my life and like relive them as it's there. So when that's like, and it's a coping mechanism. It's a way to protect yourself, right? So you keep things like in your head, safety, you're safe, or you're in danger, you're hyper vigilant and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So going through the process of like that deprogramming, I would say, or unprogramming, I would see him like, this was so obvious. Yeah. I was like, this was so obvious that I had all of these check mark things on like all the BPD traits, all of them. Mm-hmm. And it was very apparent. It was very obvious now, but I didn't have that awareness from the other people then. And the first time I was diagnosed with like ADD and like paranoid at the point too, I was 17. Yeah. And I was just getting out of a court situation. And I asked my coaches for help. I'm like, I need help. So like I knew at times in my life, I was like, this isn't right. Mm-hmm. But I also had like heavy programming of religion too. My mom's a reverend. So when it came to like, hey man, like there's obvious reasons something's happened here. It's like, pray for him. Pray for the child. So that alone, it was like,
I know what you mean. Cause in my family, there's a lot of like, our family's deeply religious, and like, when it comes to some mental health stuff that's happened to certain people, they're like, pray for them. Just prayer is the thing. It's not first medical help. It's prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not that prayer is useless. I'm not saying that, but sometimes it needs to be a little bit more.
Prayer. So I've had so many conversations that, like to myself about my whole, journey that way. And praying's good, but like praying is also like a mode of meditation. That if you say it properly, you're actually using that advice in a way that's going to help the situation.
Yeah, you're like paying it forward, almost to yourself.
Yeah, so it's like
an affirmation. Almost.
Yeah, I feel like pray. It's like what praying is like one of the heightened states of being aware. Like you're in the moment, you're praying to someone or something or whatever. You're quiet, whatever it is. You're aware of what's happening in that moment. So if you're telling somebody like pray for him, it's like that person, we'll pray the person, let the person understand they needs to be more aware of what's happening, and then scale up from there. But so I got diagnosed late and then figured those things out late. So I spent my teens, adolescents, just impulsive and, you know, finding ways to, you know, cope with, you know, everyday life.
Yeah.
I find it's like whenever, like until you're conscious of who you are to some degree, you are kind of impulsively riding your reactions to how you filter everything that happens to you in life. Because that's all it is. Like you go into an environment, someone says hi to you, you respond, right? And depending on where you're at and how someone says hi to you or who you are, it depends on how you're going to respond. So it's that was the what else? What was the question?
And you never even think on like why you respond a particular way.
You don't. Yeah.
You're like, oh, maybe I respond that way because I'm mad, you know, in the morning. And it's like, why are you mad? You know, you start to peel back those layers and you find out, you get to the kind of the root cause.
Yeah, exactly.
What is borderline personality disorder? Is it the same as being bipolar or
no?
Is it different?
Bipolars are different. Bipolar is more of like very neurological, but so BPD is like there's so many. It's a very hard one to diagnose because it's almost like a lot in one. Bipolar is very neurological, where BPD is very environmental at the start. There are some traits in there that you can have carried over from that could be hereditary. So if someone's bipolar, if you have little traits of that, it can kind of like bleed into the same, you know, diagnosis or like umbrella, I would say. But BPD is very like trauma-based, you know, situations in your life where whatever you went through, that you've tried to bury it in some way, and then using, you know, life and however you have any way you can cope with, you know, interpreting the pain.
You sort of like almost change yourself into a different person.
Yeah, so it is a personality thing as well too. So there is a personality aspect to it. It used to be called borderline. It was personality disorder traits, or it's very almost like a split personality type thing, right? And that's a coping mechanism to, you know, for me. And I did that when I was younger. I say this very often to people, like I used to try to act a certain way or act certain, like, you know, and it wasn't like I was trying to be cool. It was like I was trying to be a certain way to feel safe in this environment, right? So I would change, you know, I remember when I was younger, I'd you know, watch, you know, TV, and I'd be like, all right, this year, I want to try and be more like, you know, Will Smith and Steve Urkel. I'm dead serious. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, but Stefan Urkel and because Will Smith's really cool, but you know, Stefan Urkel's smart.
Do y'all remember Stefan Urkel?
Of course.
Okay.
Hey, okay, good. We all, man. So it is a very personality thing where there's a lot of disassociation as well too. So that's things I have to work through is like disassociation. It is very like personality. Like you have the highs and lows. You do have a very bipolar traits. There is because it's very black and white. So there is like you're happy, then your extreme happiness or extreme sadness. It's not like a in the middle thing. We're like bipolar. It's like that, but there's a lot more. I'll say I don't hate saying medication, but like it's more neurologically where if with BPD you can learn to manage your emotions so you can bring yourself kind of to a baseline. Like most people are like, you know, they sit in the middle, they're happy and they're sad. You know, something happens in their life, they respond the way you should, you know, you don't deviate much from the spectrum.
What's the real negative of it? Can you describe that? Like what are the symptoms of it?
So I would say
cause?
Interpersonal relationships are absolute terror. Number one, it's like you see somebody as, you know, you see things in black and white. You hate somebody and you love somebody, right? Extreme fear of abandonment. And then that fear of abandonment makes you do things to either self-sabotage so you don't feel like you've been abandoned, but at the same time, tug-of-warring back and be like, why are you leaving? I want you to want me back type thing. So that, you know, and that happens, you know, careless driving, promiscuity, like, you know, just all the things that, you know, preachers' kids would probably all be going through. So, so there's that, and like, you know, not able to commit to things, quitting job, like
lying, maybe.
Yeah, lying. I would say lying would be sort of. I think lying's. I think for other people,
well, everybody lies.
Everyone lies, but there's an impulsiveness that kind of makes lying not useful. Because you're kind of like you're reacting as is. There's no like thought process into deceiving. Now there's manipulation, 100%. Like we are really good manipulators. We'll suck you in and tell you our life, and you'll feel like you're our best friend. And then all of a sudden you're going through a roller coaster ride of emotions. You're like, how the fuck did I get on this fucking ride? And you're just following your buddy or your girlfriend who's like up and down, up and down, up and down. So I literally went through that my entire life until being active in therapy. I've been in therapy for like a decade now.
Nice.
Yeah.
When you got the diagnosis, was it like, did you get like a sense of relief maybe? Like after kind of, looking back being like, oh.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword. Because it was, for me, it was like, I'm a very different person in terms of like, I've always wanted to get, I knew something was up. I was like, there's something wrong. So I wanted to get help. I brought myself to therapy. I did, So it was I want to know why things happen. But then cool thing my therapist said to me immediately was like, well, when you know why, what then? It's like, what is the goal for when you know why? Instead of being focused on why, it's like, what then? So what are you going to do about the why that you know, right? So it was relief. That's the thing I was talking about consciousness, because once you know about that, and I think everyone and their mother should do some type of like, self, searching, whatever, soul searching to see why they act the way they do, because it made me understand. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why I do these things. And my whole thing before was like, I want to be a Jedi of my mind. I want to be able to control everything that I do. I don't want to be a slave to my emotions, right? And so like it was a relief thing. And then at the same time, it was like, very triggering, because you're like, great, now we got to go down the rabbit hole. And then you got to kind of go through every situation again, and then, navigate through it emotionally until you're not just being triggered. And then all of a sudden you're just, responding.
Pat Project family, we love beef on this podcast. We talk about it a lot. All right. We love our meat. But sometimes eating the same meat all the time can get a little bit boring. That's why we partner with Good Life Proteins, which also has certified Piedmontese on their website. But sometimes you might just want to eat some chicken or fish or duck. Duck. Who eats duck? But you can eat duck. That's why if you go to goodlifeproteins.com, you can select their Build-A-Box options and input all the proteins you want. Then you'll select subscribe and save to save money on all of your meat. If you enter code POWERPROJECT at checkout, you can save up to 25% on your subscription. That means you're going to be saving 25% on all of that different meat that's going to be heading to your door. Once again, head to goodlifeproteins.com. You can enter code POWERPROJECT and save up to 25%. Links are in the description box below, as well as the podcast show notes. With this, like with some of this, because you've been physical your whole life. So you know how like you see those posts from guys like, the iron is my therapy. Blah, blah, blah. But like I'm one of those people who like, when I exude myself physically, and I've known this since I was young, it helps me so much. Yeah. Like when I haven't been able to do that in my past, either when I had major injuries or whatever, and I wasn't able to do that, depression was real. Like it was a real fucking thing. Yeah. And then like I learned that physically, if I can just use my body, I can be clear to actually focus on things in my life. It helps me just be more present. Was physicality helpful with a lot of this? But because, even though you've been an athlete all your life?
So, burping, sorry. So yes, so unconsciously, training, being in the gym since I was 11, being active, being on, sports, whatever, that was in hindsight. And even from like, therapists, like, that's the one piece in your life that was constant that gave you the ability to continue. If I didn't have that thing, I'm not here. I'm dead serious. I've attempted suicide before. I would not be here if I didn't have this outlet that I had that gave me the ability to, like, when I remember I got suspended from school, and it was like, Johnny goes, just go home. I was at that point, and I was like, all right. Then I went to the gym at the school and spent time in the gym. That was my outlet. When it came to therapy and learning how to be more mindful, and we're doing like body scans, I did dialectical behavioral therapy.
What is that?
It's a group therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. Everyone should do it. It's absolutely awesome. But it teaches you how to like be more aware and present, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when I was going through that, because that's one of the biggest issues for me, and especially people who have BPD, is not being able to be present, right? Along with BPD, I have like ADHD as well too. So it's like I'm hyperactive and everything else. So it's trying to be in one spot, like being present and not, having your thoughts wander so far in the future that you're being triggered by those thoughts. And then you're no longer here. You're emotionally charged from some hypothetical thought that you've had that doesn't even make any sense, or you're triggered from the past. So being present was, when we're doing these body scans and whatnot, I didn't realize that, it cued to me. I'm like, muscle mind connection. That's what being present is. I'm like, I've been doing this. So when I was in therapy doing this, or when I was in the gym, that's why my muscle mind connection got even greater, because I was like practicing being present every time I was in the gym. So so it was like, so it's so 100%, like to your question. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. It was there for me, that I didn't really know, that, I needed that train. I needed that outlet, but my outlet was, I wanted to become a better football player, jump, higher, run faster, be more explosive. But I didn't really realize it was helping me out when all the times in my life that I needed that outlet. And then now consciously, it's like training and training is the most spiritual thing in the world. Like people, if you don't realize, if you think you're just going to the gym lifting weights, you're missing out. You know what I mean? Like it's one of the most like self-aware, like mindful practices you can do. And if you can master that, it's like the emotions you go through in a set, like you go through like confidence, insecurity, doubt, you go through every emotion in one set, challenge, fight or flight, failure, you know what I mean? And so like, if you can, once you tap into that, it's like, there you go. So that's what when it really turned over for me. I was like, oh shit, this mind and muscle connection thing is like, just being present.
Yeah.
Yeah. Specifically with bodybuilding, I think maybe some people listening, there's a lot of people that they might train for hypertrophy. They might do some things that they would deem as bodybuilding. But I would say if you never did bodybuilding with a coach and you never lifted with a bodybuilder, somebody that actually has pushed themselves, someone that has actually got themselves on stage, I think it's different.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like discredit people in their and then bodybuilding recreationally, but it's just different. Every time that I've ever worked out with a bodybuilder, even if it's just for 20 minutes, I get my ass handed to me every single time. Like I'm actually not good at it. It's like it's something I still need to develop. Because I just lift. I just kind of go in and I lift. It's not completely mindless. But at this point, I've been doing this stuff for so long, and powerlifting requires some different tools than bodybuilding does, and it takes a different kind of focus. Obviously, you can't be distracted with that either. But bodybuilding it even takes, in my opinion, it takes more focus, because like it's easier for me to get like, and also powerlifting is like central nervous system derived, and there's a whole other thing to it. But in like bodybuilding is kind of boring. Like it's like, hey, let's do these 3 sets and do these 3 sets this way. You're going to be under stress for this set for 40 to 60 seconds. There's going to be a point, maybe 30 seconds in, you're not going to think you're going to be able to complete it, but I just need you to kind of push through that part and sort of ignore it. And that's where you have to really turn your mind on in that way and have that mind-muscle connection. And you're connected to so many more reps and so many more sets, as opposed to if you just go in the gym and kind of train. It
was funny. We were, me and Anton were chatting, and he's like, bodybuilders are just professionals at doing repetitions. I was like, you're a genius. Like, it's exactly what it is. So you think like into kind of like
you got to get through reps, 1 through 7, in order to earn the right to get into that last part, which is the most important part. But if your mind's not connected to those first 7 reps, you're still not going to get there. You'll have kind of wasted your time with some of those other reps.
So it's a very like, we do the same thing. We're professionals at repping things. Like we just do it over and over and over and over again. And then to be able to go like, again, like, to go through sets, like it's uncomfortable. Like I have this little joke. I have a little character that says like, muscle masochist. Cause that's what we are. We're going into to inflict pain on us consciously because it's uncomfortable. And then you have to fight against your body setting off proper signals. It's like, hey, we're not safe. It's like, we're safe. We're just doing bench press, chill out, But you have to be able to tell yourself that and not be like, because if you don't understand bodybuilding in a sense of like, you're not in danger. Your body's setting off like uncomfortable cues as it should. but you constantly know that you're in this machine and you got to get reps out. So like get the reps out properly and go through all the emotions that you're going to go through by yourself in your head, you know? And if you don't go through that, you really don't know what it's like. And that's what, you know, I coach and I have athletes, I call my clients athletes, but I try to get them to learn that and to understand like, you know, this is not just like lifting weights up and down. This is being able to control all the emotions that are going to stop you from excelling because you have this like fear barrier of whatever, maybe it's a depth going too low or it's, you know, adding a little more weight or whatever. There's always these fears that the reason why people aren't where they are is because there's fear that's there because they're scared they're going to get hurt or they're not going to be able to get back up if they squat or the leg press on. It's like, put the racks on. If you don't get up, you just put the weight down and get up. You're safe, right? So I think it's something that you do have to kind of go through as a bodybuilder because you're taking that to the extreme. You're taking like training to the extreme and like, you know, people are like, Bud was not healthy. Neither is football. Like neither is boxing. You know, neither back catchers have the worst knees out of most sports. Yeah. Right. So it's not like you
said back catchers?
Yeah.
Is this baseball?
Yeah. What the?
Dude, oh yeah, the catcher. Okay.
What's going on with Nsima?
Dog, when it comes
I've
to
never heard
sports,
back catcher before.
Oh, catcher? Sorry.
Back catcher?
See,
I'm not crazy.
Like baseball bat?
Yeah, back catcher. I should have said catcher. I think.
Bat. Got it.
Yeah. Canadians say everything.
I thought I was crazy.
We say everything.
You're just Canadian.
We be very specific.
Back squats too, right?
Back squatter.
To kind of go off of what Nsima was asking you as well is I heard something from Chris Bumstead where he was talking about how he loves that people are excited to go to the gym and he loves that training is therapy for people, but he also was like that might be a little dangerous for you. Like it's a good place to start, but there's still a lot of other work to do. He's like, so don't just sweep your emotions under the rug and be like, I'm going to the gym.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go and be masochistic to myself.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna feel amazing when I come out of the gym, but you never actually really worked on the root cause of the problem.
Yeah.
How did you do that for yourself?
Totally agree. Well, because it's a tool, right? They're like it's one of many tools that I have for coping, right? I'm not going to put all my eggs in this one, you know, coping tools basket because that becomes the addiction, right? So you're back to one thing that can fix it when it's like you're not using that to fix anything, you're using that as a tool to practice mindfulness, right? So for me, the switchover is also like, I was aware that great body, training is, the mind and muscle connection does put me in a place of awareness and self and consciousness and whatever. But it was also knowing that my pursuit to getting to where I wanted to be, that I was going to, anytime that a trigger would happen, that's where I came with progressive overload your life. It was like every time that a trigger happens to you, that's an opportunity for you to practice that mindfulness because it's going to happen, right? So I knew in my head that, you're going to win 1 out of 10. Then you're going to win 2 out of 10. Then you're going to 3 out of 10. Just like when you train, you go to the gym weak and then you get stronger, then you constantly become weak again and then you become stronger. So it was, what opportunities do I have in my life to put me in a place where I can practice this mindfulness? So yes, the gym was in a place of control. I'm in a controlled environment where I'm controlling everything. You control everything there. You control how you respond. You're controlling yourself. Outside there, then there's a hard practice. Now you have to control how fast that you're going to respond to whatever stimulus is outside. Whether someone cuts you off, someone said something to you, your girl, your boy, whatever. How you respond to that. Those are more opportunities for you to take what you know how to do in the gym and apply that in life, because it's the same fucking thing. Like it's the same. It's like we constantly go to the gym to be weak and to get stronger. Life's the same way. It just doesn't tell you when it's going to put a PR on you or not. It's like, hey, by the way, here's a PR for go through this. And you're like, shit. And you can't get up. Like, it's terrible. It's something happened that was like just completely, devastating. Life doesn't give a shit. But you learn how to deal with it. And all of a sudden it's like, all right, cool. Then you got through it. And it's like, cool. I know how to get through that type of situation. So next time it happens again, it's not like it's first time me trying this PR again. I'm actually repping this thing out now. And until the next thing happens again, and that's just kind of life. So I took that as, the gym can't be my end all be all at all. right? Because that's the no days off. It's like, it's stupid because you should have days off and rest, and that helps you grow, right? So yeah, it's something that you have to not, it has to be a tool, one of your tools. Piano is another one of my tools. Music, snowboarding is another one of my tools. My daughter is a massive tool. Not that I look at her as like come over, your daughter. I need to figure it out. Sit there for a second.
Just that.
But you know what I mean? It's just, you're finding ways to be able to manage. That's all you're doing. And not making that your answer. It's your help for you to find your answer.
If you feel like shit, you can put more time into your daughter or someone that you love, someone that's close by. Right?
Yeah.
Being 40 now, like you just mentioned a bunch right there, maybe you'll repeat some, but like being 40, having all this experience, what are some things that like you do now that are amazing for your mental health that you're like, shit, I wish I was doing this when I was 20 and 30, but you just didn't know?
Going for alone walks.
Why?
Just, if you can't be okay with being by yourself, you're never going to be okay with being with someone else. Like never. Like it's like, if I would have known, like, and it's funny you said that because like, we always kind of have that saying like, if I knew what I knew now, back then it's like, there's a cool, I forget the psychiatrist's name was, but he was like, the things that you could have told your 16-year-old self applies to you right now. Yeah. Right. So it's like, I know for sure that I probably shouldn't drink Cap Morgans and, it applies to me right now. Right. Yeah. So, it's, being like, the biggest issue for me in terms of relationships was like, I wasn't okay with being by myself. Being okay with like being alone with yourself, alone with your thoughts, being able to like, the peace and quiet of your own company is one of the greatest tools for you to be able to be with somebody else. Because if you don't, you're relying on them to make you happy. And then all of a sudden, like that's another addiction. You're addicted. And relationships are like like I would say stimulus is like similar, like, breaking up is similar to coming off opiates. That's why you jump from relationship that you're like, oh man, I'm out of a relationship, man. I gotta feel it again. And you're like, next relationship, or you go back to the same person again and again. You can't stop. And you're like, I don't know how to get out of this thing. And when you finally do, if you actually do, you get like cold sweats, you cry. You go through the same
devil pussy. Where's that mug?
That'll be fun.
But yeah, so I mean, it's being alone, 100% being alone, and working on just you. Like, work on just like you are the priority. Like, put yourself as like priority, number one.
You guys can get that at parrotproject.live. that was the inspiration for that mug was actually a devil pussy. It was quite literally what you were describing. So.
Dude, we got a devil dick too, or what does that look like?
We're not quite sure.
I don't know. I want to drink from that.
What is that? just with mean eyes, you're taking a drink of. You don't want that cup, eh? No.
Devil dick.
we won't make that cup, guys. We got a good idea. It's shaped like it too.
But man, no, what you said right there about walking, like Mark's been talking about 10-minute walks for fucking ever. But, it's something I do a lot these days and for the past few years, but it's something I wish I was like, I just did more when I was younger because I always thought walking was a waste of time.
What a waste.
But yeah, when I was younger, I was like, why would I walk? I could just go to the gym and lift. Walking's a waste. But you just get so much from that time alone. I know it sounds so fucking simple and it's just like, but there's so much. Yeah. And it's just like, it's a habit now. Yeah. It's a useful fucking
being
habit.
Alone with your own thoughts and like what are you going to think about, as you go on this walk, especially if you do it without any technology.
Yeah.
That's a little harder, but just the first time you try it, just go for a few minutes.
It's a fun thing.
Give it a shot.
A couple of things. One, do you guys know that not everybody has inner dialogue?
I didn't know. I don't think I know that. I don't think I've
what do you mean? Like, not all the time.
My inner dialogue just said, "Fuck off." There's no way.
Right. So so do you ever sit in a car and you're talking to yourself?
Yeah.
Right. Not everybody does that. That's not a normal thing. I mean, not a normal thing, but that's not an everybody thing.
But question: when you say that's not an everybody thing, you mean like some people are having no inner dialogue sometimes, or just in general they don't have an inner dialogue?
They'll be like, "Hey, I got to go to the store." All right, cool. I'll go to the store. But they're like, "I go to the store." You know what? And like last night, man, yesterday was, it was pretty. There's not this like talk conversation back and forth to yourself. That is not a everybody
so peaceful.
thing.
Yeah,
Right?
it does.
Yeah.
I wish that was
Shut
me.
the fuck up.
Could you just go,
Comment down below if you have no inner dialogue.
Yeah, let me know. Like an inner dialogue being like you can have a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Like I can have a conversation with myself. Like it's one of the things I had to go through therapy when I was like, I always used to try to like, you know, like express how I feel. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a boardroom and there's a lot of noise. And like I'm at the head of a desk and there's just a bunch of noise. And my therapist is like, those are all you. So you have control of that boardroom. Those are all your thoughts. Those are all so like there's that's how I felt. And then some people aren't to that extent, but like not everybody has their self in their head talking to themselves. Which is crazy.
That is crazy.
Another thing too.
Some people don't have like the little angel on one side and the devil on the other. Some people don't have that.
Dude, I definitely do. That'll be the Spotify poll. So let us know. So go vote on that. But like when I have it, it'll be it's us. I don't see like as myself or whatever. So I'll talk to myself and be like, yeah, dude, we got to go edit this podcast now. And I'm like, dude, don't be a bitch. Like, let's go.
Yeah,
do, like
that's not like a everybody thing. I did not know that.
wild.
Yeah.
I coach myself up all the time. It's so funny.
Because someone's probably thinking it, but like it's a good Oreo.
Yo.
Someone was gonna say it eventually.
It is. It is.
I might as well get it out.
Yeah, get it out there.
Yeah.
We'll smush it together, guys.
What? I'm so
Well,
lost.
take a picture.
Oh, I got it. Okay, sorry. I was completely lost. I was still thinking you were talking about like talking to yourself. Oh shit.
That was my inner dialogue the entire time I was talking. In the back end, I was like, "Yo, man, I wonder if someone's gonna make an Oreo joke."
We'll take a picture
Might as well
after
say
the
it anyway.
podcast.
That was in my head at the beginning of this entire conversation. Just saying. So
Now you got me thinking about Oreo cookies.
I love Oreos.
Hey, let's not go down
Oreos
this
are so
fucking rabbit
good.
hole, guys. No, don't
It
do it.
happens almost on every show.
Oreos. I love them
We think about it all the time.
more than anything. Oreos.
What are some of your favorite junk food? You know, being a bodybuilder, I'm sure like after a lot of
Oreo-
shows and stuff.
Oreos in a tub of half baked.
Half baked. Same here.
Yeah, and I'll crunch up the Oreos. Like
Half-baked Ben and Jerry's.
a full thing of Oreos. I'll
you're
crunch
a
it all
genius.
up, and then I'll heat up a little bit so I can mix it
In
more
the microwave.
to like 10 seconds.
That's being fat
and then
because you can't wait.
Can you pull
I
half
just-
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever tried? Because half baked. Okay, both of you guys like half. Andrew, are you a half baked fan?
I'm half baked. The Tonight Dough and Netflix.
Tonight dough.
Okay. Have you tried
I'm in.
Gimme S'more?
Oh, that's incredible.
Yes. Have you tried Gimme S'more? When you go back to Canada or while you're here, just fucking
say it like that.
Go back to Canada. Go get your ass some get some s'mores when you go back to Canada.
If y'all have that over there,
Y'all got some of that. You got some snow, don't you? Make it into that.
Move the maple syrup out of the way.
Holy shit. Go back to Canada and get you. Jesus. Okay. Cool. Can we check?
that's how you know I've been hanging out with this dude too much. So Gimme S'more or Whiskey Biz?
What?
Whiskey.
Ooh, I've never
Is
had that one.
it a Ben and Jerry's?
Interesting.
Yeah,
Whiskey
Biz. Yeah, you have to try it.
Whiskey Biz?
Whiskey Biz. Whiskey Biz.
What's the play on words and what is in it?
Andrew, can you pull it up real quick?
yeah.
It's just amazing. Well,
It's like risky business.
yeah.
Is there whiskey in it?
No, there's no
is this
whiskey.
is this the
in it.
one with like pretzels?
on,
and
give us a
shit?
little
There
whiskey.
might taste
Yeah,
like
here we
a
go.
little
Here we
rum.
go. Yeah, what is
It's
it?
got like a shell on top.
Brown butter bourbon ice cream with blonde brownies and
Bourbon.
whiskey caramel. Bourbon, yes.
Yeah, see?
Swirls topped with white chocolate ganache and white fudge chunks. So
I don't
good.
even know what that is.
It has like a crust on the top of it that you have to break into. Oh, it's heavenly. I haven't had it in a long time, but it's so good, dog. Whiskey Biz and Give Me Some More, top two.
Ben and Jerry's, you're a huge fan of. Oreos. Pizza.
We got some of the best pizza in from where I'm from, Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Actually,
Wow.
yeah,
Would
like
not have expected that.
yeah. Your boy did ranked it. We're pretty dope. But yeah, I'm a regular meat lover. Pizza, oven. What do you call it? Stone, whatever.
Yeah, I gotcha.
The authentic Italians be making the food. right? Delicious. That's my fave.
Brick oven.
There you go. Yeah, brick.
Like a brick oven pizza, yeah.
Stone baked. Is stone oven stone?
They have like they kind of have like smaller nowadays. They have like small. I've been thinking about buying one of these, but I'm like, I'm gonna make so much pizza, it's gonna be ridiculous.
Yo,
they make small ones that are like
I saw
that
them.
work great.
Yeah, I've I've seen it, but you gotta. It doesn't work for me. My AD won't let it happen because you gotta like actually make the dough. You can't just be going like getting some like pre-made dough to put in your your wannabe oven thing. Yeah, you gotta like do it and.
It's a lot of work.
I'm not trying. I'll let AD have me spin at the top. Like, this is fun. 20 minutes later, I gotta eat this stuff. I'm not hungry anymore. That's because half baked. Yeah.
Do you usually have your, like, for example, those little gummy things? I usually have those around workouts. Do you try to have your junk around workout stuff, or do you just like?
No, I'm not. I'm not that whole timing and stuff for training is kind of out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. I train early in the morning, so like I train with my client at 6 a.m. So
what time do you wake up?
10 to 5.
10 to wait, what? You 10 to 5?
4:50. 4:50. Oh, is that a Canadian thing?
No,
that's an international thing, right? What are you talking about? 10 to 5.
I'm just dumb apparently because I couldn't even fucking
10 to 5. What's that thing?
It's like, are you like 10 to 5?
Yeah, so 4:50.
4:50. Okay.
Time math is hard,
4:50, 400, whatever. 4:50. I get up.
Yeah.
And I train with my client 6 o'clock, and then I'm home around 8. I train her husband too, and then I'm home, and then I eat my first meal.
Wow.
Let's dive into this a little bit.
Yeah.
So let me see if I got it right. You don't necessarily have nutrition set around your training session because you're consistent, you eat enough food, you get all your other requirements, and the carbohydrates that you ate the night before,
100%.
They're still floating around in the system when you go and do your morning workout.
Of course. Yeah.
And then post workout. See, I think people miss this. Everything that you eat is pre-workout and post-workout.
Yeah.
Because we work out all the time.
Yeah.
And so any meal that you have, if you eat a meal after a workout, that might be your pre-workout meal because it might not be till the next time you train that you eat and so on.
Yeah.
But you do a little bit of intermittent fasting, it sounds like?
Not intermittent fasting. I call it bastardized intermittent fasting, right? I make sure that I get my protein meals in me throughout the day. So you want at least 3 to 5 protein meals. I make sure the first meal I eat is protein fat heavy. And I learned, this is like from bodybuilding. So like I used to eat it was 8, 11, 2, 4, 6, 8. And those are my meals. And then as I, kind of like gravitate away from it, whenever I would try to like, make it easier for me to eat, I would push off meals to make it easier for me to diet. So for me, like my appetite really wasn't that crazy in the morning until like maybe like the afternoon. So I would make sure I have like a high protein fat meal that would keep me satiated and, keep me, going until like I would get hungry again around like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. So I always made sure I had, protein there. Again, like, and the same thing is like, it's not like at 12 o'clock, you're set at zero calories, 12 o'clock, right? Good word.
It's a reset.
It's accumulation, right? So I do like my last meal at nighttime will probably be, could be 8:30. If I'm having Oreos, maybe like when I wake up and then, just the guts is not feeling this too bright in the morning, but I have, I'm well aware that like I have enough fuel in me on a day-to-day basis that it's not really necessary for me to wake up and eat. Now I will sometimes have like maybe like fruit or something like that. If I've, haven't eaten that much prior the night before and I get up like feeling like, you get those hunger cues. Like when I get up and my hunger cues are where they should be now.
Yeah.
So they're not like back when I was a bodybuilder. It's not like it wasn't long ago, but I spent the last, I would say 3 years, having my hormones, everything pretty much like, at baseline. When I'm hungry, I'm actually hungry.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm hungry. It's like, no, I've been doing something crazy. I'm hungry. So if I wake up in the morning and I'm like, like ravaged, and I'll have like, fruit, or like small carb before I go work out, and with the pre-workout, whatever, then do that. But so I eat like, I kind of bastardize intermittent fasting in a way where I just like kind of eat like a bird, and the bird stuff I eat is the priority that I need. So it's like protein and fat. And then my hunger.
What's an example of that?
So like I have like a shake. So like if it's a shake, easy shake, it'll be like 2 scoops of protein, and then I'll have like 2 tablespoons of almond butter, right? and then I'll have that in like almond milk, and then that's about it, right? If it's whole food, it'll be like eggs and cheese, like whole eggs and cheese, whether scrambled or cooked over easy or whatever. And those are my go-tos. Or I'll have like a steak, a fatty steak, and then I make sure I have like omegas and whatnot. But those are my go-tos. My hunger's not really up at all in the morning anyway, so I pick things that I know that I can eat if I'm not hungry, and that I like a lot, that I crave anyway when I'm not hungry.
Any thought about the protein and fats, or is that just what you do?
It's the protein. It's I prioritize protein and fats because I know that's what my body needs most. And if I want to, like when it comes to like, in post-workout, I might have a little bit of carbs in there and whatnot, but when it comes down to it, I'm getting the rest of my carbs and stuff throughout the day, like small amounts, and I put the rest of them in there. But my priority is if I'm eating more protein and fat, I'm not as hungry, right?
Yeah,
it's more satiating. So if I find like almost like every single time, if I have any kind of carbs with my first meal, I'm hungry for carbs. Like I'm hungry again, and I know I've already eaten enough, right? When my carbs are small. So like, it's almost like a mix of intermittent fasting, keto, and I don't know, what I mean? Like, and that's the point I make too, is like, your diets don't have to be exactly what they say they are. They can be, you can adjust them to what you need for you. So like, it's keto's like, you shouldn't eat more than 50 grams of carbs, right? Well, I don't eat more than, I would say, 20 grams or 30 grams in a meal, right? So my carb will be like very small. And my if we're doing a balanced plate eating, it'd be like, protein would be like the size of my hand. My fat will be like, a good amount of fat, would be like your thumb, whatever. And then my carbs, if they're like anything fruit-wise, they'll be like probably the size of my palm. Or if it's like a grain carb, it'll be even smaller, right? So I kind of, and then as my day goes, then that carb kind of gets bigger.
Yeah.
As my day goes. So by the time my kid gets home from school, I'm kind of having like, I'm eating between 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. And I'm eating a good enough amount of food.
And that feels good. Like that feels good for me because like I'm done with my day.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, now I get to just like relax. I can eat. Doesn't matter if I feel full and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah. And it's easier to sleep too. Like you're kind of like, you're full and you get the itis. Can you say that?
Itis?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Boondocks, right? Yeah.
So
Y'all know the itis?
I don't know.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Food coma, Mark.
Oh,
It's a food coma.
gotcha.
Yeah.
The itis.
What you got going on over there?
Oh man, just enjoying the conversation. But how about so kind of I wanted to go back to the YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
What's some of your favorite content to like create? Because I mean your YouTube channel is amazing and you have tons of subscribers now. Looking back, like what do you get hyped up to do still these days?
None of it. That's joking. So no, I like doing like tutorial. I love doing tutorial videos. It's for me. It's a way that I get to continue to coach. Post pandemic, right? Like everything's online. Most people are going in the gyms. Like my time in the gym is like, especially commercial gyms, you're never going to get your value. So
That's also say your form detail is amazing. Like people need to go check out your videos and check out the different ways. Even when you were working out with Kenny and Mark, it sucked. The adjustments you were making, like you're very precise, and it's really dope. People need to go check it out.
I trained like before pre-pandemic. I was 40-hour plus a week of people, right? So I love like coaching people. I've been coaching since I was young, so it's my way of being able to still do that is creating content like that. So I like doing like, top 5 mistakes or whatever. Anything where somebody can kind of like apply it to their life and do it as easy as I possibly can. Like, and dumbing it down. Understand, like, that's the thing is like, I've trained so many different type of people. And what I know is I have doctors that I'm training. I have surgeons that I'm training, and I have the pipe fitter and the doctors and all, like, and everything in between, and the kid, and they all have no clue what the hell they're talking about, right? And they're not supposed to, right? Because no one's teaching you any type of biomechanics at all, or anything. And when you're growing up, so when people, when I'm coaching someone, it's like, how do I get this person to understand how to do a squat? And then I'll get another person. It's like, I got to find a way to get this person how to do a squat. And based on the person's personality, their their coachability, I'm finding these like natural cues. That's where I get most of my cues from is and my online coaching. Like I have my athletes post videos for their workouts. I make the workouts, they post a video, and I coach them up in their videos. So it's a way I can continue to find ways to reach somebody through the screen so they can apply it to themselves, right? So I love doing that kind of content. What I'd love to do is like, and I want to do more creative stuff. Like, I like doing skits. I like doing we have a good creative team. My brother is a screenwriter, producer. Oh, so like, there's a lot of stuff that we want to do, like comedy skits. It's like, you can. Sometimes you can, and like, we put out, and I put a couple funny ones out, and I'm like, this will be good, and it's like, and you're like, it did pretty good, and I'm like, so just I wish I could do more of that, which I will eventually for sure, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you get caught up in like the analytics of YouTube? Like, do you get lost in like, oh, we got to optimize X, Y, and Z, or that's why that video didn't do good because we missed out on the tags and all this other shit? Or do you just go in and you want to just create what you create?
So we have like, when I say we, like I have a small team of 4 or 5, 2 editors and my brother. He does the sound. He's a sound engineer, so everything at the end of videos, we make sure we have music and sound, whatever. So we have a good system in terms of like understanding, like we have our evergreen content that we need to go, and then there's the content we have to put out if we want the channel to actually grow. So I don't get caught up in the analytics more so than I know that those are like variables that I need for measurable variables to, so we can like make this video better by, how can I make the retention better? Taking the analytics from other videos that did well and trying to recreate that again. Because like in the end, you want to grow your channel. Like no one's on here not to grow their channel. It's just, as there's I don't think anyone's really on this to not grow their channel. So I don't get caught up in the analytics. More so, I got a healthy relationship with analytics.
That's good.
Like all it is just that. Is there measurables of how we can, when you train, you might, log your training. That's how you get better. You know how much lift the next day or next week, whatever. Same thing with this.
Well, just real quick, congrats on having a team. You have a big channel, but people see YouTube, outsiders as like, oh, it's a free thing. It's like, yeah, but we put a lot of shit into these YouTube videos, right? Yeah, it's free to consume. It costs a shit ton if you're taking it this serious. Yeah. I would love to ask you about what you said. You said you have your evergreen videos, and then you have the videos that are going to grow the channel. Yeah. Can you just, if possible, briefly explain like the difference between the two?
So evergreen stuff is like your stay power. Someone can go back to this video and learn from it, and they can rewatch it over and over and over and over again. Your growth stuff is like, I would say like there's some drama to it, right? There's a very current event that just happened. The Vince McMahon, John Bravo's video on Vince McMahon, right? That thing's hot, right? It'll be a good video. How can you make a spin into make it fit your channel? You kind of use those kind of videos to help grow your channel more, get more, reach. But for the most part, like the evergreen stuff is the stay power that I focus on mostly. My channel is like, I am a coach. I want to use my channel to coach, but I need to be smart about, growing it too. So, we block shoot, and then if there's a current thing that's popping up that we need to respond to, we're going to respond to it. Yeah.
I'm curious about this, man, because I saw a video from you a while ago, and you were kind of talking about young guys on PEDs. And obviously, nowadays, you got guys 18, 19, peptides, SARMs, all this shit, right? And it's if anybody can do what they want to do, but it just seems pretty odd how popular that shit is and how many young people are doing it right now. So what are some of your thoughts on just the prevalence of it these days?
It's funny. I think it's been like that forever. Just like anything else. It just now you have cameras and now it's cool.
Okay.
Right. I remember I was a hater. I was a steroid using hater. Like, I cannot stay. If you use steroids, cheat or whatever. And there was like, there was guys I knew in high school that were like obviously on steroids. They looked massive, whatever. So it's always been around. It just hasn't been glorified and glamorized. Right now it's being glamorized.
Yeah.
right? It's a way that, you know, like, I don't want to take shit away from my man Sam because I think he's fucking great. I do. I think he's awesome. I think he's doing whatever. I hope he stays the way he is. Yeah.
Okay.
But you take away steroids. Exactly.
Okay. Well, he'd
You have an
probably be
athlete.
sizable
Yeah.
because he's done athletics, but he wouldn't be as big as he is.
No, he
now.
wouldn't at all. Look at his brother. Like, here's my point. If, like, the reason why he got the way he is because he's been through these extreme transformations that are exacerbated.
Mm-hmm.
He probably could make the same type of change, but it'll take longer.
Oh yeah.
Right. So him being able to do these, like, and that's like that, even for growth for, like, you know, bodybuilders, and when they're you know, you do your best in growth when you're in a prep because everyone wants to watch you do your prep, right? There's more content, it's easy. So he's able to do these, like, summer cut, winter bulk, summer cut, whatever, up and down, and you see these drastic changes that are made possible because he's enhanced.
Yeah.
You take that away. It doesn't take away from who he is. He still works hard, but it's not as in your face and flashy or like captivating as someone just naturally growing and going down. Now we won't know, but like when it comes down to it, it's like you're getting rewarded for, you know, if the better you look, the faster, better you look, especially as being young, the more you're getting rewarded for. You're getting more subscribers, more followers, more
Sponsorship
deals,
opportunities, yeah.
right? So yeah, I think that's the biggest difference. It's like it's just being glorified and just it's being publicized.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have the internet back in the day, right?
Yeah, and people are getting places with it, and then you're seeing like a lot of celebrities and things like that. I mean, Arnold and Hulk Hogan and just any of these people, even from a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, making careers. Myself, I'll throw myself in there, and so you see people doing it, and you're like, well, that guy seems fine, you know, and that guy seems successful. Like, maybe I'll take some stuff and just get a little bigger, like to see what happens.
Yeah.
So I think that might be the bigger issue is the maybe the influence.
Yeah. It's and everyone will do whatever the hell they want to do regardless. But there's always going to be some motivation that's there. And then, you know, when you're kind of getting something, you're hanging the success, you know, possible potential success in their face. It's like, maybe I'll get on a little bit just so I can speed up the process so I can look better in the shirt and then get a sponsorship. So that's where it's at.
What was your journey with PEDs? Because now you're totally off everything and you're still 220 and huge. Yeah. And usually when people come off of stuff, they shrink to oblivion. So like, what was your journey with PEDs, and like, how are things now being off of everything? And when we say off of everything, it's not like you aren't just on TRT.
Everything. Show me BLOODWORK. Shut up, man. Everything. Like, fuck it. I started when I started bodybuilding. Okay. Right. It was like when I do anything, I get all into it. So if I do competitive archery, I got the bow, everything. Sure. I get lessons, the works, right? Everything. So I was like, how do I do this sport? You know, how is this done? Mm-hmm. Yada, yada, yada. So I got into it. I couldn't afford anything. So it was like one compound and it was like two and it built up. But my approach to it was when I started bodybuilding, I asked questions a lot. And that's the biggest thing, advice.
How old were you, by the way?
I was 28.
28. Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. So I was a late steroid user. Mm-hmm. But I would always ask about other bodybuilders, like, hey, if you could give me advice, what would it be? I remember Ron Love on the way to Olympia was like, all you need is a lot of hard work and a little bit of that. And I'm like, I know what you're talking about, right? So I took the minimalist approach. Number one, I couldn't afford it in the first place anyway. But as you know, I moved up the ranks and people started, offering more and whatnot, and having more opportunities to get, pharmaceutical or whatever. I still was like scared of it. I was still very, very scared of what I was doing. Yeah. I respected the drug, and I knew that drug can F me up. Funny how I edited myself out there. It's weird. What the fuck? So, and then so
effing crazy.
Yeah. So when you go through and then you get closer to your pro card, it's like, all right, what I got to do to get my pro card? Because I'm trying to get on the pro card dose. Mm-hmm. And so it was a smart approach. It was a lot of learning in that. I've looked up, like I've researched the galore when I do anything. I wasn't like, take this, sure. It was like, I know, like my buddy, when I first started bodybuilding, gave me one of the manuals, whatever, for steroids, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, post or during the pandemic, I couldn't compete, we couldn't travel. So I was like, well, what am I going to do now? So like, I remember I was prepping for the Cali Pro, and then I was like, well, I might as well just kind of like come off. And then at that time, I was like prepping still. I'm like, well, I don't want to stop the prep because I was already filling my prep. It was called Becoming Leaner Than Greg Doucette. It was a joke we made. And it was like, you know, so I was like, you know what? I might as well finish this prep online, have a little like, you know, duo with Greg at the end of it.
Yeah.
But I would just do like minimal. So I would cut everything down. I was doing like 150 milligrams of test. And then I think I was doing like 100 milligrams of mast. And that was like 2019, I think it was. And then when I was done, we did a little competition. I just kind of stayed on that. And just like, you know, I just stayed on that little dose. And that was the first time I realized I was like, at that time too, I was also like, yo, I wish I could do this. Go before this shit. This is, that ain't
go way back into the archives.
Yeah, go to like
what year?
2019. You go back to,
you were 270 at your,
you could see it like
heaviest. Right?
Yeah, this is way back. That's when I used to live with Greg, the one on the side. Keep going down. Go down. Keep going.
270 heavy ass pounds.
Keep going. That's me and Neil. I was training with Neil at that point. And then if you keep going down, even more. Slide. There you go. There's pandemics happening. So if you go on these, grab the shoulder video. Grab the go up a bit.
How to train shoulders.
Go to the
big chest.
The girl,
day.
their back day with there's two girls, one coach.
Right here.
Oh, you got her.
Fuck, it's alright because I'm backwards. So.
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah.
This one?
Sure, it doesn't matter.
Sorry, my bad, dude.
Don't matter. And if you just fast forward to see me in there, just
2 girls, 1 chest day. Oh, that video stuck in my head.
It's burned in everywhere.
How much did you weigh here, dude?
that was 265.
Yeah.
Let me find it.
That's a lot of mass. Oh.
And I stayed like 15% all the time. I was never more than that.
Wow, you're thick. Also, you're fucking explosive.
Damn. Shit.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
So it was, you know, and I was able to sustain that weight at 150 milligrams of test.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't need much to sustain this.
Yeah.
Right. So that's, you know, then after a couple of years during the pandemic, when we were allowed to travel, like I'm going to compete again. And I remember I was talking to Greg and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do, maybe it was, you know, I'll just, you know, cut my dose down and do whatever for a show. He's like, why don't you just drop down to 212 and then you have to do hardly anything. I was like, I'll do that then. So I did a whole prep on.
See it in the face.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just there's a full human being in my face. He's like my present self is in my nose. Jesus. So it was, so I dropped down to 150 and then when I did my last show, it's my second last show.
Mm-hmm.
I only did 150 milligrams of test and 75 milligrams of injectable Winstrol.
Wow.
And that's all I did.
And you looked amazing in that show. Like I saw the pictures. You fucking
So sorry, I didn't get that year. I was doing my last when I did the minimal amount. I didn't make it. I didn't make it to stage. I passed out walking to my car, like walking out of my house. Like I was on my way out and I just collapsed.
Do you know why?
Yeah, I caught a stomach virus. And if you go to one of like the close like 2022,
your blood pressure or something might have been real high or something.
So I caught a virus, stomach virus, and my body fat was like I was this and went down to like 220, like I was trying to make 212, and I was like inside out peeled.
Yeah,
and I caught this virus, and it was like my body just had nothing to fight it. So it like put me out. I had like 4 IVs in like an hour. Like it was ridiculous.
Wow.
So that was the day at that show when I couldn't do the 212. I was like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
My kid was like, you know, I was puking and crapping. Kid's like, everything's okay, Daddy. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? So that was, yeah. And then I just came off October 2022-ish or 21. Either it was 2 years. I came off cold turkey.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done. I was like, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have any plans of going back?
Nope.
You know, did any type of PEDs, did it mess with you at all?
Yep.
Mentally? How? What happened?
if I wasn't actively in therapy, during my, because I got into therapy I started therapy in 2014. I was into my second year of bodybuilding.
Okay.
And I went to therapy because I was like, when I thought I had everything figured out, bodybuilding is really lonely and very quiet. Yeah. So I'm sitting there like, feeling depressed, very, 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 very low. And then, I need help, but I'll just get help. So I ended up seeing a therapist in 2014. If I didn't have a therapist in 2014, I would have had a disastrous, career. Because I was aware of what my body was going through. So like, I knew how my body felt when I took Tren. I knew it felt when I took Halo. I know exactly when I take this thing, Letro. I knew for a fact, as soon as Letro's in there, I'm on the stepper crying. I'm crying and I'm grateful. And I have this like overwhelming feeling of sensation of being like, of gratitude and then like anger. You know what I mean? Like so I knew a lot of the stuff that I was taking was definitely affecting my mental health. It just made me have to like manage it way, way, way more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now like being off of everything, how is that for you? Because a lot of guys, when they come off, the image of what they looked like before, they're so connected to it that they can't handle being off. I
think it's because I was on so little for that, like I said, I spent the pandemic on 150 milligrams. So when I came out cold turkey, it wasn't like I was coming off of like when I was trying to prep for, so it wasn't like I went from like 1,000+ milligrams to like, nothing. Yeah. It was a smaller decline, right? Or, recoveries in that point. But I said this before, I've like in the last, I would say 2 years, the shit that I've been through in my life would have had me spiraling out of control if I couldn't manage my mental health at all. So I would not be here 100% if my mental health wasn't strong enough or healthy enough. My dad's dementia, I found out I had a 52-year-old sister, people have died, murders, everything that can happen in 2 years happened to challenge my mental health. And I've been able to navigate through that. And some of my biggest questions with my therapist is like, am I going to like just go off the edge one day? Because I'm really surprised on how I'm managing a lot of what's going on, especially having a business at the same time, right? So if I was on, I definitely would be managing it way, way, way more. Yeah.
What about your weenie?
That shit works, man. It wasn't like, so for the...
Like, because, I mean, you're on, right? And then you come off. Like, was there some sort of like,
You can call it a penis, can't we? Like, we're going
pee-pee.
Just in case. Pee-pee.
What's the deal with your cock?
All right,
let's talk about your hog, bro.
There it is.
So the hog's still horting away. No, it's, so for the first, honestly, like the first bit, it was like, obviously it wasn't, I always say like, when you wake up in the morning, are you hard? Like, how's the guy in the morning? If he's up in the morning a lot, you're good.
He's up in the morning making pancakes.
Right? He's get in your way. You're like, get out of here, man. But it recovered as time came off. So like when I got tested again, I was 576 nanograms per deciliter. So it was like kind of like in the pretty good range. Still like not the high range, but it was like it recovered enough. And then I was using Tonkat. Ali was in one of our supplements on Blue Star and whatnot. And, it's actually working. You know what I mean? Like it's, I'm horny. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And then when the guy's awake, he's awake. Right. So.
Yeah. Fuck with some Fedosia. That shit.
And I mean, like, you can take some Cialis too whenever you need to, but, Cialis is pretty good use. It's fun. Yeah.
Fair. So you mentioned his name. So what's the deal with Greg Doucette? You guys used to live together, used to be really close friends.
Everyone knows we're no longer friends, but I think people, I already can see it. Like, you didn't have to say anything about him. You could have said pre-talk, you don't want to talk about. But then it's like, they're not being authentic, and then that's the question everyone's going to ask anyway. So, like I said before, I'm going to be completely honest and not going to stretch anything or put anything forward. We're not friends. Unfortunately, there was a point in both of our journeys where I believe that he was taking his brand. And I said this to him, I was like, our brands don't mix. Our brands are colliding. And I backed away from his brand, sent him an email, whatever. I thought we were cool. And then, you know, I did a video, whatever, everyone knows that. And then it just was after that was like, he believes that I betrayed him. You know, I used him, all these things, you know, and then that's it. Like, and I've reached out before. Everyone knows I've reached out and said, you know, I've tried to, you know, make amends or whatever it was, right? It'd be the bigger man or whatever. And it just wasn't receptive to it whatsoever. So it's, you know, unfortunate, but to be honest, like we were really, really good friends. It wasn't like we're like, when people talk about him and stuff, like, you know, it comes from a place of like, of love. Like I told that man to his face, I love you. You're my brother. We've been through some shit together. You know, we've had some ups and downs and went through shit together. So for me, it's not like we're not buddies and we're just YouTube friends. It was like, no, I lost an actual friend. But through that, I learned that it's like, you got to know, you know, I have really good friends. And the situation that I've been through, that me and Greg went through, my really good friends are like that's not deemable to end a friendship type thing, right? So like when you look at it like a really good friend, like, you know, you have really good friends. You have a best friend that you can confide in, you can trust. You know, how our friendship ended isn't on the, you know, the checkoff box. If you did this thing, we're no longer friends. Like for me, it's like we'd have to go through, even on the flip side, if it was me, I'm like, we'd have to go through a lot for us to not be actual friends anymore. So it was unfortunate that it was like that. It was that led to us not being friends. To me, I'm like, I don't think it's even that big of a deal for us. That was something that was 100% work. We could have worked through it by just having a man-to-man conversation.
Can I ask you what it was? Or that's something you want to keep it? If you got to keep it private, keep it private. I'm just
no, man. We're talking about being authentic and, you know, being your true authentic self and, you know, being transparent and being vulnerable and being completely 100% honest. So I think there's a couple of things. When I pulled away from his company, I wrote him an email. At that same time, so in hindsight, in this conversation we had, in hindsight, I went, when we could travel again, a Blue Star, or a buddy of mine, Dave Whalen, messaged me. He's like, hey, we want to do a video with Rob Riches. And I'm like, cool. And I'm like, you understand that I'm, you know, with, you know, HCLT supplements. He's like, yeah, no. He's like, we just like your content and we want you to do a video with Rob. I'm like, sure. He's like, we'll fly you out, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, perfect. So I went out and did whatever. And we did a collaboration. I fully wasn't a Blue Star thing at all. I got back and then I was already in the midst of like, hey, we're no longer, like, I no longer want to work with HLT anymore. Yeah. The stuff he was putting out at the time, it was a little more political than I needed. Like I wasn't trying to go down that road of any of those things. So when I backed out, and it seemed like we were cool. Like it was like, hey, no problem. Like we were hanging out. We went on a snowboard trip together. It was all gravy. And then the one video that I put out, it was after he did a video on Remington James that I was like, that I believe, I was like, yo, that's like, I'm like, that's a reach. Like you.
Was it the cookbook shit?
Yeah. No, it was the Anabar. So yeah, so he put out Anabar. No, sorry, Anna Butter.
Anna Butter.
It was Anna Butter, and Remington did a, you know, promote. He's trying to make his product look as, you know, super dope, whatever. And then Greg did a video that was basically like, that painted him to like, he's deceiving you. Like, this is not better than peanut butter. This is actually not, if you look at the calories, blah, 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 blah. And then the way he did it, to me, it was like, I was like, dude, like I don't even, like at that time, me and Remington weren't anything. I was just like, yo, like, that's a reach. Like that's not a, like, that was the first video that I've actually said, I'm like, that was not in good taste, you know? And then, cause I knew the relationship as well too. I knew that he, like, Remington would like confide in this guy for X, Y, and Z, you know, help them out. Like when Remington put his ebook out, he got Greg to look at his ebook to say like, hey, is there anything in there that looks like I'm stealing something from you? Right. So like Remington had some respect for him and I knew that. So when he did the video on, I'm like, Greg, dude, like, I'm like, that's not a good move. So then, you know, and we talked that night, like after the video, we talked and it was, you know, I was like, you know, I told him how I felt about the video and he said how he felt. I'm not going to say what he said on his, you know, because it's private, whatever. But then I told him like, I'm doing a video. And I told him I was going to do a video. He was like, yeah, sure, do a video. And I sent the video to our friends to be like, you know, the video was basically You know, like if you're gonna review people's stuff, don't create narratives. Don't create narratives. Like review shit. Cool. Say it's good. Say it's bad. Whatever it is.
Don't insinuate storylines.
Don't insinuate that this person is trying to deceive, because I know what happens. Because what happens is his team of army of people go over to their channels. They did it to me. They go over there and they send a bunch of mean messages, a bunch of stuff. They'll go on to the your reviews, and they'll put 0 ratings. They'll go on your DMs and say the grimy shit.
It's an army. I mean? It is an army.
It's that kind of backlash. So I was like, I put a video out and I was like, don't create narratives, blah, 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 blah. And I had like names of certain guys. Like it was, more plates, more dates. Sean was in there, a couple other guys, and Greg. And I mentioned Greg for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And it was light, like super fucking light. It was actually pretty funny. Mm-hmm. And that video is like, he made it out to be that was a video that like I betrayed him, I used him, all the this and that and the other. And I sent the video to our other friends to like make sure, okay, am I being a hypocrite because I don't want to put a video that looks like do I do that? Do I create narratives, whatever? So they were like, yeah, that video's cool. Like our closest friends. And then when he put it out, they were surprised, like, yo, I don't know why he's actually that mad about it. And that's literally hindsight. I believe that one of my best friends was like, I think he's actually mad at you because you pulled away from business. And he's like, I think this was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And it was that. And from then on, it was like, that's it. And I've literally tried to reach out. People are like, oh, just let him be. It's like, look, dude was at my wedding. He was in my wedding. He was in my wedding. He was one of the first people to see my kid born. Like he was, we do,
you guys were good friends.
Oh, we were fucking great friends. Like this is weird. This is, it wasn't like we hung out a couple of times type thing. It was like, I did house arrest with the motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I live with him, and I went through anything we had to go through, we went through it together. So it was surprising to me that that's what it took for our friendship to be, that's it. So yeah.
Improving your sleep quality is as easy as shutting your mouth. And what I mean by that is putting some tape on, breathing through your nose will increase your sleep quality. It's no longer just something that only the bros do. It's now been researched, and people understand that if you can breathe through your nose while you're asleep, you'll have better sleep quality and you will wake up more rested. Hostage tape is also really awesome because I know what I used to do. I used to use a little bit of a cheaper tape, and every time I'd wake up in the morning, the tape would be somewhere else on the bed or on my face, but it wouldn't be on my mouth anymore. But hostage tape, if you have a beard or if you don't, will stay comfortably on your mouth all through the night. And if you're someone who has a problem breathing through your nose, Hostage also has nose strips, so you can place those on your nose while you're asleep, or if you want to be like one of those hormozy guys, you can wear it during the day. Andrew, how can they get it?
Yes, that's over at hostagetape.com/power project, where you guys will receive an entire year's supply of mouth tape and the nose strips for less than $1 a night. Again, that's over at hostagetape.com/power project. Links in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Through everything, what are some like take homes that you kind of have for yourself in terms of like moving forward with other relationships that you might have and other friendships and stuff?
No new friends.
Fuck all y'all.
No. I honestly, like, really though, to be honest, like, I think we use, this has nothing to do with Greg, but I think we use the word friend way too lately. Like, everyone's your boy, everyone's your brother, everyone's your friend. It's like, understand what that actually is and what that actually means and what that comes with, right? So it's like, if you're going to call someone your friend, can you trust them with your girl? Can you trust them with your money? Can you trust them with your kid? Can you trust, like if shit hits the fan, are they going to be in there swinging with you?
Yeah. Could they pick like your girlfriend up from the airport or something and not be like, you got to worry about it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, just understand. And then having like your own, non-negotiables as, with people. Mm-hmm. Like, here's how you want to be treated. And if you don't treat me that way, then we're not friends. Like, it's a two-way street. For me, it's a two-way street. It's reciprocal. Like, there is no unconditional love, unfortunately. If you have a kid, yes, there is. But to each other, it's very conditional. Like, and it's fun. Because as long as if you're playing the right way, like, we should have a give and take. Like, there has to be a give and take with any relationship for it to be worth anything. If there's two one-side, it's like, well, that's when shit happens. And if you don't talk about it, then you have all of a sudden down the road, you're like, oh, I wonder why we're no longer friends. You're like, well, look back at how many times you've done way more than the other person. So yeah, that's my takeaway. Like, just take your time. Like, hire slowly. Like, get friends. Like, hire them. You know, what I mean? They treat like business. Like take your time. You know, putting somebody on. Like, all right,
it takes time to learn about somebody.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a natural transition here. What are your thoughts on Natty or Not? Because I've seen you make a video on those before, right? Yeah. What are your thoughts on the concept and those videos in general? What do you think?
I think they're useless.
Useless?
And people are like, I'm using some harsh language here. It's direct. Like, I need to know if I can achieve this. It's like, no, you can't. Right? Like, what makes the Natty or Nots dumb, number one, is a natty person and a not person. a not person is an enhanced version of the natty person. The natty person is a genetically gifted freak. So if you think that you're going to achieve the genetically gifted Natty or Not or nattier person's look, you're sadly mistaken. The majority of people who watch YouTube sit into the majority of the world. They're not those 2 standard deviations to the right or left. Where they are the genetic freaks. So the people who are enhanced natty people. So you take away the steroids. If you're like, I only want to know what I can, you can't achieve. You're natural. For all the people out there, they're not going to be able to achieve what you are. They can do the best they can and draw inspiration from it, but saying like, I want to know what I can achieve based on what you can achieve as a natural is the most backwards fucking thinking I've ever heard. It's limited thinking. It's giving yourself a way out. So as soon as your natural fucking bodybuilder says, "Oh, oops, I was the bull's balls was actually not was doing it. Oh, now I can't get a 6-pack because Liver King lied." It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that shit bugs it. And I get it. Like, and to be honest, like, I feel like most people who really, truly care about Natty or Nots don't go to the fucking gym.
Well, imagine doing this. Imagine outing people that are wealthy that grew up with some wealth.
Well,
like, oh, you just totally discredit the whole thing. Like, well, he grew up, he was a little ahead, so what he has now doesn't count.
Yeah,
it's like that's not helpful. I don't think.
No, not at all. But and then on the other, because I took criminology university, so I love that whole part of things. So it's fun. You're dry snitching. Like in
dry snitching.
Dry snitching is basically like not snitching, but snitching.
Okay.
Right? It's not like, hey, you're on steroids, right? Like, number one, in Canada, it's legal. Right, it's legal to take, it's legal to own.
It's legal? I thought it was illegal.
It's legal to use, legal to own, legal to buy, illegal to sell. So it's a class 5. It's a really weird. It's a gray area there, right? But it's a class 5 controlled substance in Canada, where here it's like 2, right? So there's some repercussions you get here if someone's like, hey man, I think that I'm 99% right all the time, but I can't say I can speculate, but for these reasons, I would think that he's on steroids, but it's like
there's a 1% chance he isn't, and that's unlikely.
By the way, he's in a country where it's illegal. So if this guy's like, you know what, man, my bad, I am on steroids, he's going to jail. For me, it's like, number one, doing a Natty or Not itself, it's like first of all, it's speculation. It's not 100%. It's not 100% at all. So
but the thing is, it's perceived as truth. The problem with it is like, it's speculation. Everyone could say it's speculation, but the words of certain individuals will make it be truth to the people that are consuming that.
Yeah. It's like, that's why I'd like what's his name? Phil Heath was like, he's like, you want to see my blood work? Pay me. I was like, I love that. Because it's like, I'm not going to have my way to get you blood work for what? So you can be like, oh, his levels are actually good, so he's probably taken the other drug that whoever made up. Like, was it Enclomiphene? Or that's a new one. I don't even know what the fuck to even get Enclomiphene. Like, what is Enclomiphene? Or not Enclomiphene, what is the other one? It's there's a steroid that Greg talks about all the time. It's like, and people talk about it. It's like one you can hardly trace, and it's like, I don't know.
Sure.
He's like, it's because it actually eked me, because I was like,
I think there's clomiphene, and I think there's like e-clomiphene or something. But I don't know. It's an enhancement, whatever. But I'm like, I have no clue.
Like, and I know where to get whatever. Like, I have no clue who the hell would even get this. So it's like, there's no way out. Like, it's like, oh, here's my work. I'm actually natural. It's like, well, you didn't give it to me in time.
You cycled off.
Okay, cool. Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, oh, but you're taking something that's untraceable. It's like, there's no way out. And then there's a culture that's been created that has this, like, I have a reason to not train as hard as I possibly can because I know that Alex Eubank took a steroid or whatever. You know, like, it's like, really, like, Alex Eubank is your gatekeeper to your gains?
Yeah.
Right? So, like, that whole, like, I just went on a rant there. You went hard in the paint. I can't stand. I understand, because I have to be a critical thinker and I have to put myself in other people's shoes. I understand why someone would think that knowing what someone does naturally can, I get that thought process, but when you break it down and you talk, like, you say it out loud to yourself and you're like, hey, okay, if Alex Eubank isn't natural, I can't get a six-pack. That's one of the things, like, my therapist said to do. Like, if you have, like, you know thoughts that don't make any sense, say them out loud in a funny voice, right? And you're like, like, oh yeah, you're all of a sudden you're gonna be poor tomorrow. Of course, that's what
actually, that's a great fucking tactic.
So like, say it out loud. It's like that doesn't make any sense. Like, what you do is only based on what you can do as an individual. Your job for your goal isn't to look like somebody. It's to draw inspiration to train as hard as you can. I was never going to be as good as Barry Sanders as a running back, but it wasn't like, oh man, like since he, I don't know I don't even know how I can spin that, but either way, it's like, but I trained. I loved the way he trained. I got into dance because I knew he did some ballet, but you know what I mean? Like, I drew inspiration to give me motivation to train harder or whatever. Like, that's what you should be doing. And the problem is with this Natty Or Not shit is that now that instead of just being like, hey, I like the way that guy trains and he trains hard and he's doing this every single day or she's doing this thing every day, they're disciplined, whatever. Now it's like they're disciplined because steroids allows you to be disciplined and it allows you to do these things. And like, you can go harder and longer and like, so you can't do this. It's like we've just created another culture of like, it's a soft culture. If you care about what dude does because he has steroids, you're soft. I'm sorry.
I do think that there's an element of, they're exposing like a lie, right?
And you need that 100%.
But I don't, I personally don't like a lot of it because it's so hard to prove whether the person's lying or not. And for me to accuse someone of being a liar, I feel like I'm dragging myself through the mud.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be involved in any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing is like, it's if they're not, coming out and saying it, like, and unfortunately, like, that's how it is. Like, it's like, if they don't say it, you can't say that they did or not. Unless they get caught, unless they liver kinged up and like, hey, I fucked up, right? Unless they do that, it's speculation, right? But I do like Goob for John Dorsey.
Goob you too.
Goob you, right?
Yeah.
What I like about that is that it's proof. It's yo, this is proof. You are rightfully deceiving people.
He takes examples of people in the fitness industry, of photos that they have, and they're doctoring them up.
Yeah, he knows that, and he's
he doing before and after.
Dude is good, but like that is like, I understand that because there is when it comes to mental health, right? That's a big thing for me is, there's a lot of, misguided people out there and misguided based on like what they believe is achievable, right? They're, especially women. I got a little girl. It's like, and she's already like, dude, it's like, there's no way around. I'm like, as a dad, I'm just like, what the hell? I tried avoiding all this shit and she's already looking in the fucking mirror. And it could be for me, daddy posing, whatever, whatever. Right? But she's already conscious of what she looks like because I can't buy a normal doll. I can't buy a doll that has a normal sized waist. You know what I mean? And looks like it, just isn't on their tippy toes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I like that there is an element there that, let's expose people that are lying about what they can achieve, right? If you're doctoring your photos and saying, I achieved this butt because I worked really hard. Meanwhile, your barbell's bent fucking into a C. It's like, people need to know like this woman can't actually look the way she looks.
Yeah.
But the guy who took steroids or didn't take steroids and is in videos, girl or guy, Natty or not, looks the way they do because he actually worked hard for what they did. Steroids or not, right? So it's like, I see that, expose those people, but to dry snitch and to accuse people, it's like.
You're bringing up something super interesting because I almost wonder if women care. Do you think women care? Like, does a woman care if they, the girl has like a butt lift or something, or
no? I
kind of think that women might be more inclined to say, "Where'd you get the surgery from?"
So
but maybe if they're being deceived, maybe they would be pissed.
Funny thing is this there's this local company, local like health clinic, whatever, that started doing butt injections. Like. What is it? Botox or what's not Botox? Botox. What is it called?
Something.
BBL, like lip
BBL,
filler or whatever.
BBL.
Okay.
BBL, right?
that whole thing.
So like, and I'm looking at the comments and like, oh my God, thanks God send all these. I'm just like, why don't you just go to the gym? And where she's injecting the shit doesn't look like a butt in the first place. So like, can we figure this out? Like, but like when it comes to women, and that's the thing too, is like, I find that it's harder for women because it's like it's made so normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's pushed in their face. Like you gotta look at the Kardashians, like, how small. And that's been happening forever. Yeah. Like corsets sticking in your waist from like the 1800s, for F's sakes. It's like it's been hard for women out there, right? For sure. So I think it's almost like, it's not like, I would just laugh and be like, they're probably like, where'd I get that Adobe at? How do you use that? It's just, I'm tired of working out. I might as well just doctor these pictures real quick. But I don't think they care as much as men do. I think they just want, I think women are inspired more than men are just jealous. Right?
Yeah.
It comes in a different way, I feel. Right?
Uh-huh. It is tough though, because like I distinctly remember like when I was like 14, 15, and my fitspirations were like Greg Plitt, and then there's Kane Sumabot. You remember Kane?
Yeah.
Kane's like he had an amazing physique. He still does. He's older and he still does. But if it was the same environment and like I somehow found out that like being young, if I was like Greg Plitt was on testosterone, and when I was like 16, I'd be like, damn, because like I really wanted to look like Greg Plitt at that time. I was like, he has a great physique. That would have like kind of made me pissed, and it would have made me maybe want to make a decision to do something like that before really maturing. But that stuff wasn't on YouTube like that. You know what I mean? So that's why it's like it is. I do find it harder because guys are young. As you get older, you kind of become more mature about this shit, and you're just like, just train, just fucking train. Yeah. But when you're young, you want everything fucking fast.
Yeah.
And if you feel like someone's deceived you, it's harder on a young mind, I think.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And you can also like create that as well. Like you can create, like, I don't remember who's the first like Natty Or Not type person, but like there's been, I think it was like a Blah.
Michael Tren. Oh,
Blah was like
Jason Blah
was one of the first Natty Or Not type guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and he was saying everyone.
And it wasn't like, but it wasn't like, no one was like, I don't really care. Like it became more and more when it got, mainstreamed in the industry.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's a necessity. Like I need to know. It's like, you don't.
Yeah.
You really don't.
What I hate about it, and I forgot to mention this earlier, is like, if we're going to start getting into morals, you know what I mean? Like who in the fuck are you? Right? Like who is this person that's claiming that this other person is lying, and they're so adamant about it? And for what? What's it for? It's for some YouTube views? I mean, it just seems so.
You have not sinned to cast the first stone.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's Mark 100%. Like you have the audacity to like berate somebody for potentially lying. Like not even proof, potentially. And I know damn well everyone that's watching anything is lying about something.
Yeah.
They got a dirty secret. They did what I don't like. Were these all high and mighty people be like, you're now judge, you're an executioner? Like, I can't believe you. I can't believe you would lie to us about, I didn't say anything, but it doesn't matter. I can't believe the perception of you as lying. You can't believe you. I've never lied by a Yes, you have. You lied today. You lied 10 times today. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break.
I think you'd be a good actor.
I do too.
See how he like got into that role right there? That was sick.
I do acting. Yeah.
Do you take acting classes?
No.
Or you just like,
I do act. I am in acting. I'm an actor.
That's sick,
union
dude.
member, and I have a movie and a TV show is coming out this year.
Fucking tell us about
shit,
it. What's
yeah.
going on here? What are the secrets you got going on?
So, I'm Kid vs. Aliens. It's my first feature film. I was a villain in Kids vs. Aliens. Did a lot of body acting because I was in a prosthetic, and I'm an alien that's a beast, and I terrorize kids, and I fuck kid up at the end and shit, and it's pretty dope.
Okay.
And then I got my first principal role. It's a lead role in a TV series called The Trades. It's a comedy series with, I don't know if you guys know Rob, probably not. It's Canadian. Rob Wells of Trailer Park Boys. Tom Green's in it. I don't know if you guys remember Tom Green.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's based on a plant, like a what do you call it? A refinery.
Okay.
And it's like a comedy. It's a dope comedy. It's hilarious, actually. It's a comedy about like the trades. So you have like tradesmen and tradeswomen, and there's the plot's pretty funny. And I play a security guard. I'm the head security of this entire shit show plant. So I'm like the moral compass in this TV. It's pretty funny.
Jack's security guard always gets fucked up. Did you get your ass kicked?
Yeah, there's some really funny parts in it.
Happens every time.
Oh yeah,
It's like the guy comes, he's all jacked, and then for some reason he gets like kicked in the balls.
Oh yeah, I'm doing.
It
It was a really fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that, and then I got a couple other things coming out that I'm waiting for the start dates to from the I don't know if you guys are from. It's a horror series. It's American.
From.
They're in a bring it up. It's a horror series. People end up going into this village and they get stuck and they can't leave. And then at nighttime, these people, human beings, come out, and if you let them in, they just devour you. Like they just, it's pretty crazy.
Fuck.
Me and my girl are gonna enjoy that. We love horror.
Yeah.
We love horror.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How'd you get into acting and stuff? Or you just been something you've been interested in a long time?
So I was in high school. I wanted to get into
This is the first trailer.
Yeah, in high school, I wanted to. I was in acting in high school and plays and stuff, and then I wanted to go into dramatic arts.
Okay,
that was one of the things I wanted to do. Couldn't. That's another story about not making it to school and shit. So I've always something I wanted to do, and then when the pandemic happened, I got a couple commercials, and I got this one show, and then one of the casting directors was like, you should just apply for some things. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. So I put myself out there, and then I got an agent. She was a casting director, and then I got an agent after this first movie I did. And she goes out, and I get roles left and right. Like I get casting calls and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I put my self tape in. That's why my pursuit to getting smaller is one thing too, because I don't want it. Like you're in a frame this big, and when you're traps and neck and face, it's like it's nothing realistic about a jacked lawyer. You know what I mean? It's like, you're sitting like, yeah, it's good on Your Honor. It's like, that doesn't work, right? So
that's why. Did you see what was the movie with Zac Efron recently?
Oh yeah, he looked crazy.
The Claw?
The wrestling.
Oh, the
Iron Claw.
Yeah,
the dude looked comically large compared to everybody.
But he's not. That's why like a lot of times when people say like, nah, you're not actors and stuff, I'm like, guys, do you understand like how big they're not?
Right.
Like they're not that big. Like
dude got shredded.
I mean, you saw the Northman, right? With Skarsgård?
Yeah.
Right. So his entire movie, he's just doing this. And it's a dope movie. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
I have to watch
He's like $180, $190.
For any ladies that listen, which I don't think there's any ladies that listen to the show, but there's a naked fight at the end that goes on for like 15 minutes.
Dick swinging and everything?
Yeah.
Wow.
Swinging that.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see that much like that, but there's a little bit of
It's
a little bit of thigh wars going on.
It's a good movie. But like these guys are like Hemsworth isn't massive. You're
He's tall though.
He's tall, but but again, like when you don't see full body shots.
Yeah.
Right.
The only time you see full body shots is somebody's running. But for the most part, it's here, right? It's like you're in this 16 by 9 like this.
Yeah.
Or it's like an up angle, or it's like an action. And if you like, and you only see the whole body unless you're actually fighting like that. Like here you go. You don't see
And
the entire thing.
Hemsworth is probably 215 or something, though. He's probably got some weight on him, right?
No, he's
You don't think so?
no. Look him up. He's like probably like one.
I
Probably
think he's kind of tall.
Probably 200. It's like 6 foot.
Mm.
These guys are like they're not like
I thought
like
he was
a
big.
big. Okay, so big guy is Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Jack Reacher's big.
Breacher's big.
Whatever that.
Alan Richmond, he's big.
Yeah.
And you know what's annoying actually? Don't know if it's damn that or not, right? So I have a video that I did a year ago, and it was him talking about his HRT, him admitting to be on HRT, and that up until he started HRT, he's been natural. And he's like, I've been training for I've been in the gym since I was like 10 years old. I'm like, yes, of course. You could be 100% natural. And look the way he did. And he actually admits to using, going on steroids. He was on, I forget what talk show it was, but he's like, I literally, I'm on steroids and admitted to that. And then I'm seeing recent ones like, he's talking about he's not on steroids. I'm like, guys, he said he's on steroids. He's, but what does it fucking matter?
Right. Yeah. And I think he got more detailed about it. He was like, I didn't take anything for season 1, but I took stuff for season, and everyone's just like, he's lying or whatever. I don't know.
But again, you're not going to get believed anyway, right?
Just people are jealous. The guy looks great. He's fucking big.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
You really do underestimate, honestly, though, what you can do with a good decade of training, solid training. Because, I think you're lucky. I feel like I was lucky to get into the gym at 13. I started playing sports at 6, but I was lucky to get into the gym and enjoy training and training hard.
Yeah.
When you train hard for a long time, not saying that you'll look like me or you, but you can look very impressive.
Very.
And you could look bigger than somebody else too, but you'll be very impressive after a good decade of training.
You're gonna make a lot of progress in the beginning too.
Yeah.
The first couple months, you'll make a lot of I know I can't say, hey, you're gonna gain 8 pounds or something, but it's because everyone's a little different. But you are gonna have some great gains, especially maybe even almost for the first 2 or 3 years.
Easily.
Yeah. And I think it's the problem is people don't they haven't done that. Even did it long enough to see to determine whether or not they have good genetics or whatever it is, right? Yeah. They're basically I've been training for. I get questionnaires and I get from consults and whatnot, and they're like, yeah, I've been training for about a year and a half, serious, and I'm like, and I'm like, it's dope, awesome for you, that for me is unreal, but it's it's very rare that I have someone that's been at it for a long time. Those people get very, very few and far between that you have people that actually been at it for 5 years strong. And I'm not talking they're doing when I say strong, I mean they're going to failure every single time. I'm talking they've been trying to get enough protein in. They've been, eating enough calories. They've been on the pursuit to actually building muscle consistently for 5 years.
All
plus
boxes checked.
All of them checked. Those people don't. There's very few of those
food,
people.
The sleep, the hydration, the whole thing.
So that's why it's so hard for people to conceptualize that. They're they don't know what it's like to be committed to something for more than a year, right? Some people haven't been in relationships longer than a year.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that's why it's tough in this space to get people to not think about all the other things, but it's you need to focus on you and then doing this thing over and over again. And it's monotonous. It's not going to be flashy. Their motivation's going to be gonzo in the first month, maybe. It's you got to continue this thing over and over again. That is the only way this is going to work. And if you don't cross off those boxes, if I go to the gym 6 months and then I stop, well, they're done there. That's it. Well, I go to the gym all the time, but I don't eat too many calories. Well, you're done there now too. I go to the gym, eat enough calories, but not enough protein. Well, you're done there too. So if you have to do all the things, you have to do all those things over time to determine whether or not you have good genetics or if you've actually been in the proper pursuit to building muscle.
Yeah.
Or getting, but if you do, if you fucking do, if you do for 5 years, if you're 19, you're now 24. If you're 30, you're now 35. It's 5 years goes by fast. If you do this for 5 years straight and just work diligently, and you don't got to go to failure every single fucking time. You can go to I'm telling you, just fight the bar every time you go to the gym. And make sure you eat enough protein, eat enough calories, whatever. Do that for 5 years. I promise you, you're going to be holy shit, I can't believe I achieved this. I don't need to know if Alex Eubank's natural or not. I can actually look really good. But people do it for a year and man, something happened. And it's well, don't blame it on homeboy over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we've had like this conversation about like Natty Or Not's being helpful or not. A lot of comments will come in and they'll say like, oh yeah, but that person's lying to me and blah, blah, blah. But the thing is they're like, because they're selling something and they're making it appear as if this Liver King supplement is the thing that's causing or creating that physique or whatever. And in my head, my instant thought is like, well, you can't be that stupid. But they will argue and say, no, people don't know. And they're going to believe that if I buy their product, I could become them. So do you think it's at all helpful for something like that?
Stop buying shoes to jump faster or run faster or jump higher?
Oh man, when you're a kid, that shit works, dude. Fuck
right?
that. No.
But you know, I mean, like,
be like MJ.
But if you think about it though, like it's like if you look at the vehicle, right? Like if I bought, say, Liver King's plan, I'm sure Liver King's plan is going to be based on some type of resistance of whatever, and it's at the core of anyone's plan, it's muscle hypertrophy, right? So it's like if you do the plan, you will build muscle, right? Just like if I get the best training shoes, it's going to allow me to train as hard as I can with good equipment, right? It's not the reason why. It's not going to make me better, but it's going to give me an advantage, or just give me, you know, I won't say even necessarily an advantage, but it gives me like a tool to help me get to where I need to go. So I understand like, yeah, but it's marketing as well too. So like I sell plans, like, and I'll tell you, like, you're not gonna look like me at all. Like you are not going to look like me if you take any supplement whatsoever. If you do any of the thing I do, I make your plan based on for you to be the best that you can be. And that's the takeaway. So it's like, you need to understand that going into any type of consumer environment, that's like, hey, look, there's a plan that this guy is selling. If you follow hypertrophy, you will build muscle that you can build. So it doesn't matter if the guy that's, you know, it doesn't matter if it's Michael Hearn on there being like, hey man, goose eggs and my whatever. It's like, guess what though? If you eat his goose eggs and take his supplements, if you train hard, you will build muscle.
Yeah, whether you're going to Huberman or Liver King or Hearn or Peter Itea, the general message is similar.
Yeah.
You know, have some decent cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
Pay attention to your calories, learn to eat some protein, and go in the gym and break some muscle tissue down.
Yeah. I think the emphasis is too much on the person delivering the news. Like it's like, you know, if it's good news, like if it's good information, like I for myself, like I'm giving you practical, you know, things that you can apply to your life that can help your life out. Right. But that's as far as it goes. Everything else is on you. Right. So if you're putting the emphasis on like, all right, Johnny's plan is going to make me better. It's like, that's not it. It's the plan is going to give you the strategy or the, I don't know, the map to get to where you need to go. Right.
Yeah.
And your final destination isn't my physique. It's your physique. Right. And that's what people understand. It's like, stop putting so much emphasis on the person that's selling the product. Now, obviously I would, you know, be careful who's selling the product. Right? If someone's saying, I'm sorry, y'all, but if you're eating balls, like I just for me, I'm like, I feel bad. Like I got tore up from when I made a video on that. I got
higher test though.
I got tore up.
Wait, so what? Like some like eating testicles to try to increase testosterone?
No,
is that what you're talking about?
So I was like, dude, like I was the under impression that anyone you really think that eating balls are gonna make. I'm trying to be so empathetic with this. I was under the impression that isn't obvious. Like, no, bro, you ain't gonna eat balls and get jacked. Like, there's no way you think you can eat some balls and look like this dude.
Real talk. If I were 16 years old, maybe I'm just stupid. But if I think if I was 16,
or if someone explained to you where steroids came from, and they said that they were synthesized originally from bull testicles, then you might buy that and say, well, you don't have to really worry about that. You don't have to inject it. You just eat them.
If I was 16, bro, I would have been like, fuck, where do I fucking buy some balls? I would literally have, would
you eat them raw?
No, I'd cook it probably. I'm pretty sure I'd cook it. And I'm not talking about human balls. I'm talking about cow balls.
That's what I'm saying though.
I think after hearing Mark, I'm kind of in already.
Right?
To be honest, that sounds pretty damn good.
The delivery was good. It was good.
I heard that as a 16-year-old.
I started thinking about like, you know, do we fry this or deep fry? You know,
they're like scallops.
You know
Make some tacos. We'll be right back, folks. We're gonna go eat some balls, and we'll report back to you guys.
Sorry, guys. About lubricating.
Wow, they couldn't find any shaved ones, huh?
That's the garnish. A little bit. You want to put a little put the garnish on the side there to spice it up. No, I get it, but like it was also like, you know, eat it raw.
That is.
It's like but you can't cook it raw.
That's how you know these guys are trying to troll people. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
I want everyone to
Push it a
fucking
little
eat
further.
raw.
It wasn't like your delivery was. It
I didn't even
wasn't
think
like,
about
yeah,
that.
you got to eat. You know, when you take with the testosterone comes from the bull balls, and that's where you get the most testosterone, and you know, and how it goes to pituitary gland. You put a bunch of words in there, and then you know, if you take it out and you get those, and you can cook them just like you cook liver. You know, you can put them in some flour, some shake and bake. You know, really good, a little garnish in there if you want some ketchup or some, you know. Really good, you know. I'd be like, you know what? Maybe I'll try some balls. You know, I'll try some. I've eaten chicken hearts before. I've eaten chitlins. I've had, you know, some shit. Yeah. I would probably eat it. But if someone's like,
the shake and bake.
someone's like, hey, yo, you gotta eat the shit raw. Like you gotta take it from the bowl itself and peel the shit back and eat that like a kiwi.
You got 20. You only have 23 minutes.
It's like no.
Otherwise,
16 years old, you couldn't even eat my vegetables. You don't even eat your raw balls. Like, come on. What was your diet like when you were younger? I could have eaten some raw balls when I was 16, easy.
Yo.
what's some of your diet philosophy?
But diet philosophies? I have none. Oh, like I'll show you. I'd say philosophy. I guess I was thinking more like myths. But philosophy is like whole foods. That's like well-rounded diet. Like I don't care what I always say all the time. I don't care what diet you're following. If you can get all your micro and macronutrients in your day, then have at her. Right. That's it. Right.
Well, reason number one: get your micronutrients and macronutrients from whole foods.
Yeah, that's it. Like if you do the majority of your foods are from a good, healthy, whole food source, right? It doesn't have to be 100% of it. It could be just like, I don't know.
Something shut down, Andrew? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can still record. I just can't pull anything up on.
You're still recording. Okay.
Yeah.
We pause. Like, I don't have more of this stuff here.
Yeah. You can have mind blowing on air. Go for it.
Dog, this tea crushed me. I've
guys
never
are
done a
wrestling?
full tea at once.
Oh, nice.
You doing wrestling?
Hmm?
You doing wrestling?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Do you know Abdul the Butcher?
Yeah,
my
of course. What's that?
It's my uncle.
No.
Let me look this guy up.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's my uncle, Uncle Larry. And give him a call right now if you want.
Uncle Larry.
Yeah.
Abdul the Butcher.
Yeah.
He must be like 70.
It's 70s. He just turned 82.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Abdul the Butcher.
Abdul or Bill? I thought I heard Bill.
What?
Abdul the
Larry.
Butcher?
Abdul the Butcher.
Okay, Abdul the Butcher.
The madman from Sudan.
Oh, what?
All
That's
the
your
cuts
uncle?
on his head and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah, that's my blood Uncle Butch.
Whoa.
I can see the resemblance. No, I was kidding.
Have you ever done a 23andMe? What's in you, dog?
Native, Choctaw Native.
Choctaw. What is that? Is that like something in Canada?
No, it says we want an original. But I'm Métis, so I'm like some part Native.
Okay.
Right. I have a Bayesian, Jamaican,
A Bayesian?
black, just Canadian.
Wow.
Yeah, mix.
A wonderful mix.
Yeah.
So back to the diet.
That's
Whole
diet.
foods.
Whole
right?
foods.
And then I guess the whole foods are also going to help regulate some hunger as well, right?
Yeah. So like just choosing foods that aren't gonna like, and that's your pursuit to like educating yourself in what works for you with food wise. But like I'm always preaching like get the whole foods that are high in nutrient, nutrient dense foods. Make sure you get enough protein, enough calories. Emphasizing your fiber and your fat. Those are things that can help like mitigate a lot of hormonal issues or digestive issues. And then, like the rest of your diet can be fun. And I think that's I don't think that the goal is to have everybody eating chicken, broccoli, and rice. I think the goal is to get people to understand what portions look like, understand what things cost in terms of like, hey, what are your goals? If your goal is to get smaller and lose fat, then you have to eat it towards that goal. But make sure that in that pursuit that you're getting your protein, your carbs, your fats, making sure you're getting enough fiber, enough, fat, like 20-30% of your calorie intake should be from fats. And then, just drinking enough water, 8 ounces minimum, like basic stuff. And then you can have some fun, if you can control yourself. But the goal is to get people to understand that they don't have, I have Ben and Jerry's. right? I have pizza. I have, I have food that is not diet food, but the majority of my nutrition is.
Yeah.
It's like, and gives you the right to be, I would say right, but like, if you can't handle those things, then you have to, do things to make sure that you don't fall off the bandwagon, or, you understand your cues. That's the thing with like mental health and just like management, is understanding like, hey, this food makes me want more of this food. Well, then get rid of it. Right.
What are some other things that you think kind of make those cues happen?
Cues in terms of like hunger cues and whatnot. Just like a few things. Like when people come to me like, hey man, I'm getting like, cravings at nighttime. I'm like, all right, cool. Are you drinking enough water? Oh, I'm like, there you go. There's one thing that's probably, a lot of times like people like you're conscious to what your body's, telling you, but how you respond to it is your filter. So if you're like, I'm hungry, it's like, are you or are you thirsty? Because it feels the same. So if you're not drinking, and I'll go back to you drinking enough water. No. Well, then if you drink more water, like if you look at like, this is obviously a bottle of water. If I had sand in here, right? If you had sand only, then we put water in it, it's fuller, right? Mm-hmm. So like having a bottle like this and just having a little sand in it, it's like, well, you probably wouldn't be as hungry if you fill the rest of it with water. So like, it's one of those things is like drinking enough water. Also like, your macronutrient ratio, right? If your majority of your macronutrients are from carbs, you're going to be craving carbs a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Carbs are like, I understand that carb energy is like, I guess like your simple sugars, whatnot, your monosaccharides or polysaccharides are going to have, going to spike your sugar. Right. So if you're trying to you want to minimize your sugars being spiked up and down. So like, I would say just having your ratio not so carb heavy, number one. Mm-hmm. Two, making sure you're eating. Like actually, like if you don't eat in the morning, like I understand, like if you want to do intermittent fasting, it's fine. But like if it's making you eat more food, then it doesn't work. It's like, and if you're not intermittent fasting, you're getting hungry at nighttime, and you're like, oh, I didn't eat in the morning. There's some room to grow. Eat a meal in the morning, mm-hmm. right? If you're eating enough food on like a regular basis, you shouldn't have these hunger cues that go up and down. And then all of a sudden, there's obviously the training part of that too. If you're over cardioing certain things, right? Like no one's overtrained to or feeling too hungry. Like a lot of people, I think the biggest misconception is like, I had a big leg day today, so I need to eat 600 calories. It's like, nah, man, your leg day was like 200 calories max. Yeah. My glutes hurt bad. It's like you burn maybe 200 calories. Maybe.
I think people sometimes don't realize that the body kind of works in this like delayed fashion. And I think that we think that we wake up and it's a new day. It's a new day, boom. And everything that I'm thinking about only is confined to this one day. Yeah. But it's like, well, we probably need to go back to yesterday, maybe the day before, maybe 2-3 days beforehand to find out why the hell you're so hungry. Yeah. Or why the hell you're so tired. Yeah. How was your sleep? Did you train, and someone's like, oh yeah, I actually had double days, like 2 days in a row. I forgot about it. It was like Sunday and Monday. And then now it's Thursday or whatever it is, so I think there's a lot of stuff like that happens. And you mentioned, and in the gym when we were training, you're like, sometimes somebody, they'll go in to do like a back day and they train chest the day before. Yeah. And now all this is tight. I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. And I don't think that was your point either. Just recognize that there's a cost to the exercise that you did yesterday. Yeah. Yeah. You're going to be feeling some of that. And when you go to do your back workout, it might be slightly compromised. So it's just, all this stuff is really good to be conscious of. Yes. If you're going to dip your calories way down on a particular day because you're trying to get lean or shredded or whatever the words are, maybe you absolutely just didn't even eat at all on a Sunday or something like that. Like, I'm just going to fast for 24 hours and I'm going to utilize that. Well, now Wednesday rolls around and you're kind of curious on why you're so hungry. Yeah. It's because a couple days earlier you were messing around doing something like that. Yeah, definitely agree. It's an accumulation. That's one of the things I get people to understand when they start to have judgments about, their outcome. It's like, when people are like, I had a bad day today. I ate over my calories. And I'm like, all right, don't go in the deep end. How's the rest of the week been? How's your adherence to your diet? Oh, it's been on point except for this one day. Okay, cool. So let's do some easy math. Is 6 greater than 1 or is 1 greater than 6? They're like, well, obviously like 6 is greater than 1. We're like, cool.
one day's not going to ruin your entire week, right? You're still in a deficit or you're still in that little surplus. If you do that on a consistent basis, yeah, for sure. But it's like understanding that, you know, how your entire week looked and not like I messed up today, you know, or like, man, I weighed myself today and I weighed way less. It's like, but how was your week average? Right? Those are things like, you know, I always bring it to my clients is like, here's some questions you had to answer on a week-to-week basis so you have some awareness as to why your week went the way it did. So I definitely agree with that.
You know, it's from what you said there, I'm curious your thoughts on this because I think Kenny actually may have asked you something similar to this. You know, it's good to allow yourself some fun foods in there, especially so that you don't get into the cycle of, you know, because you've been keeping it away from yourself for so long, you binge on it. But some people love to do a cheat day. Now, as you working with so many clients, how do you help them if they like to have a day, whether it's Saturday where they have some fun? How do you help them navigate it so that it doesn't get out of hand? Because for a lot of people, it can just get crazy in terms of the calories they can eat.
Yeah. Oh, it's just something you could forecast, right? So I always tell them, like, you know, if you're going to plan these things, like, don't have it as an impulsive decision in that day, right? Because if you like, oh, today is my cheat day, and then you just act impulsively. But at the same time, it's like, all right, what is our cheat? I don't know if that's call it cheat day, but like, what is our day going to look like?
Yeah.
Right. What is the purpose of this day? Right. Understand that this is still it's still going to be in line with our goals.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of freedom for your brain, but it's also going to help with the outcome of what we're trying to do in terms of like losing fat, whatever it is. So it's like, hey, I want you to, like, I'll have times where it's like, I want you to eat till you're full.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to eat. I don't want you like puttering around trying to like, you know, walk this tightrope because you're in prep and you don't want to, and then all of a sudden you're doing 2 hours of cardio after you ate. I want you to actually eat this food. I want you to eat it, you know, guilt-free, carefree, own it, and plan what you're eating. If you're going to go to dinner at nighttime, then you're going to, you know, plan what you want to eat at nighttime, right? Or what restaurant you're going to go to.
Yeah.
You know, I get them like, hey, if you want to just have like a day where it's not like necessarily like we're trying to like, you know, break a plateau or something. And it's like, hey, I just want to, you know, my client there was like, you know, my wife, I make food for her, but I'm like, can I like, you know, eat the food that I make? I'm like, yes. Like anything, for me, I'm like, anything you have to make at home. Yeah. That's not, to me, is like, that's not cheating. If you got to go and make a recipe at home, make something for your wife, unless you're going to McDonald's and remaking the burger, you know what I mean? It's like, but you know, you should be able to do that. So it's like, understand like, hey, you can eat like a bird during the daytime. And then when you want to have that meal, then you can have that meal. If you go over a bit, that's completely fine. Because the rest of your week, again, is going to be as is. So like, give yourself some time to understand what you want to eat, enjoy that, and eat it guilt-free. And then utilize all the things it has. And like the next day, if you're training, you know that you got some extra fuel. Train balls to the wall the next day. Don't train to lose calories. Train knowing that you're gonna have more energy to be able to, increase your intensity. So that's like, you know, the things I gotta tell, you know, clients and whatnot.
How do you help with cravings?
Getting rid of the things that I gave you cravings. Number one, two, like
get them out of the house type deal.
Yeah. Don't like for me, like I don't have. You know, and I know myself, if I have 2-3 things of Oreos in the house, those are gone in a day.
You have an eating disorder, Johnny. It's an eating disorder, Johnny.
Are you allowed to say that in here?
No, the reason why I'm saying that is because, like, keep on.
Yeah.
Nah, but so, like the thing is some people like to say that that's eating disorder behavior.
It's managing. It's knowing your weakness. It's like, get yourself out of this situation. It's life is very repetitive in ways of like lessons. Like if you're not going to go to a certain friend's house because that friend or person always gets you in trouble, that's not a friend disorder. That's you being smart and getting out of the situation, right? So for me, I know that
it's not your problem because you can't get out of doing bad things with that friend. That's not a you problem. Are you sure about that?
There's 100% a me problem. Damn it. Right. So like, yeah, have, you know, if you're going to have cheat stuff in the house, have one serving cheat stuff. So I have the food I want to eat once. Like I know that I can eat anything between 360 grams to 820 grams, 870 grams in a box cereal. I love cereal. One of my weaknesses. Love cereal. Yeah. I was that kid that, you know, my white friends, the parents would have Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the cupboard for me. Still to this day, I promise you, still to this day, I can go home right now. There'll be a group of friends that I know that they'll be like, "Oh, is John coming home? Yeah, is it cool? I'll get us some Cinnamon Toast Crunch." I swear to God. So but I have just enough for that for me to have it. I know for sure if I have a box of Crave in the house, it's gone that day.
Yeah.
So I plan to have that. But I'm not going to buy a bunch of it in the house. I'm going to buy only one serving, one, sitting serving of whatever it is. And that's it. So like, get rid of the shit that you can't control out of your house, out of sight, out of mind. And you can train everything is training your body. You're training your body based on your consciousness and your environment. So I don't crave having Oreos all the time because if I have it all the time, I'm going to want Oreos all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's like, unfortunately, people don't know that. I train a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say what sex they are because I don't want them to know that I'm talking with them. But
Kaboom.
I can definitely bleep that.
Yeah, bleep that. Yeah. But it's like,
well, who knows how they identify?
Right. Could be I don't know. But like it was the same. Like I was like, why am I not losing weight? I'm like, are you sticking to the plan? Because the point is like, I'm gonna do more cardio. I think I need to do more cardio days. I'm like, are you following the plan? I'm like, yeah, I mean, but are you following the plan, like the calories that are given to you? Do I have to? And I'm like, yes, you do. 100%. You have to. But like, that's a very educated person that doesn't know that, right? Now, is it because they don't want to know? Or is it because they're focused? But again, it's like, we can't expect everyone to know, like you know what I mean? Because that's a confirmation bias. Like we're around people that know, right? And when I was doing my content before, I dumbed my content down even more because I thought that I was putting on beginner stuff. And then when I listened to some of the things I was saying, I was like, that's not beginner. That's beginner for your client, for your beginner on your channel is a very intermediate in the real world. So it's like when I have these kind of questions or situations, there's a lot of like empathy I have because I'm like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about or doing, and I totally understand that, and I don't expect you to either. But that's just the majority of the people.
Yeah.
Which is, it's unfortunate that we didn't go through in high school learning about debt and credit and nutrition and that'll be really good. That'll be way better than history of France. Like, I'm not even using any history. What history am I using right now?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So let's say that you've already gotten your blood work done with Merrick Health. You've gotten the right supplementation. You've handled your nutrition. But how about the people close to you? How about the people in your life? Recently, I had my mom get her blood work done with Merrick Health, and she's gotten her blood work done many times in the past. But Merrick did an amazing job at looking at her blood work and giving her the supplement ideas to help her move forward. Because one thing is when you go to hospitals and they get your blood work and they do your blood work, when they look at your numbers, they're comparing you to the average person. They're not trying to optimize you and help you move forward. They're just trying to make sure that you're not breaking. Whereas Merrick Health, when their patient care coordinators look at your blood work, and when they looked at my mom's, they're trying to figure out how to optimize you and make you live the most vital life possible. So if you've gotten your blood work done, great. But think about the people close to you. Would it be good for them to get their blood work done and get this type of work done? If so, Andrew, how can they get in contact with Merrick Health?
Yes, super important stuff, guys. Head over to merrickhealth.com/powerproject. That's MAREKhealth.com/powerproject. And at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 10% off the Power Project panel, the Power Project checkup panel, or any lab that you select on their website. Again, merrickhealth.com/powerproject. Links in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Some of the stuff you were mentioning in the gym earlier when Kenny was asking you some questions, I found to be really interesting. I know that a lot of people have probably heard a little bit of this kind of stuff before, but you were mentioning how someone could get into tremendous shape even while eating, quote unquote junk food.
Yeah.
So I'd like you just to maybe elaborate a little bit more on that and why you think that that can be the case.
Yeah. So it's guys, make sure you edit this thing so people won't skip over because they'll be like, Jonni said eat junk food. So it's there's a big myth in bodybuilding, and I'll tell you this conversation actually happened. It's pretty fun. I was listening to a food ad and he was talking about whatever about dieting and whatever, and he was like, "You got to eat these foods, and this food's gonna make you look this." And it's like, no, that's not actually right. And there's a huge misconception to believe that the food you eat is how you're gonna look. So you can't look. If I ate chicken, broccoli, and rice, I'm gonna have that good, healthy bodybuilding look physically. What you see is that's going to be a result of the chicken broccoli rice or the clean food. If you eat junk food or whatever, it will make your physique not look that way. You won't be able to look, and that's false. It's not true at all. There is some validity to that, and that's in terms of like, okay, certain foods will do certain things to you that will change the physiology. Like if you eat too many carbs have more, they're gonna, like for every 1 gram of carbs, 2 to 3 grams of water with it. So you'll hold more water subcutaneously eating more carbs. So yeah, it will, but carbs are carbs in a sense. So if I had, if I ate chicken and broccoli, and then instead of rice, I had rice cakes, Rice Krispies, popcorn, I would look virtually the same.
As long as the calories are the same.
As long as the calories are the calories are the same, right? If you ate if I decide to eat my entire prep from McDonald's, I would carry out and look the same.
I believe someone actually did that.
Right. So the difference is that you're not gonna the biggest difference is not the look, it's more so of like the gut health and then your cognitive health. So if you're eating Pop-Tarts or junk crap, whatever, there's not much micronutrient there that's gonna help with your brain.
And your performance may suffer because you don't necessarily feel as good in the gym when you're training.
Yeah. And then it's not the food that makes you like the food isn't gonna make you look a certain way. It's more so internally gonna do the difference. Right. And again, too, obviously, like if you're eating like junk food during a prep and you're in a diet, it's gonna make you crave more. So like there's obviously those other things. That's why there's a lot, like when it comes to bodybuilding, it's very strict in terms of like, what food choices you use, because you're not going to crave as much eating chicken, broccoli, rice if you had, French toast, right? And I've done both types of preps. I've eaten the anabolic recipes and then had the whole food stuff. And I found that there is a good balance of both, where it's like I started off with eating, anabolic recipes. Then at the end of prep, I would go into more, I'd focus more on whole foods because it was easier for me in terms of like mentally.
When you say anabolic recipes, what do you mean? Is it from a cookbook or something?
Yeah. 100% from a cookbook.
Okay.
Literally. So, and it's funny too, we had this conversation, everything's anabolic. Like anabolic recipes, if you think about it, it's like anything that's going to keep you in anabolism is anabolic. As long as you're in a surplus, you're anabolic.
But what is special about these recipes? Is it just like
so they're protein forward, right?
The problem with protein, the problem with like anabolic recipes is that, and if you don't do it properly, but it's more like you're trying to create the illusion that you're eating more food. Like
volume.
Volume and stuff. So like, you can have your protein, your carbs, and then your fats start taking a back seat because they cost more, right? So if you eat your diet consumes more, it consists more of like protein and, low calorie dense carbs, right? High in fiber things, you know what I mean? Like, popcorn, right? You can get adding like something like xanthan gum or guar gum to your, shakes. It makes things more full. It makes you have the feeling of being full, right? So it'll be like an anabolic recipe. But when you look at it, you're just eating more protein, whatever. I don't find that if you do it properly, you can actually get the right amounts of like macronutrients in them. But for the most part, when it comes to like calories in, calories out type thing, and that's like everyone knows that it is calories in, calories out. When we're talking about what your body looks like in the end, it is calories in, calories out, 100%. But it's what those calories look like as a whole that will have the result or give the result in terms of like your overall performance or your gut health or your cognitive health, strength, and whatnot. So that's when it makes a difference. But like food for food, you're not gonna I'm not saying eat like shit, but like, you don't have to be so strict when you're eating. That's bodybuilder or your regular, general, public, whatever, right? But when it comes to the choices, it's also like making sure you're eating the foods that aren't going to make you spiral. So like, that's why you can't, that's why people like, it comes like, we'll say Sam, so like, he's eating that. I can't believe he's eating this food. it's not going to change how he looks, right? It might change his overall performance in the end, but how he looks is not going to change anything.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people they're not really thinking about the overall amount of energy they're consuming, and they're thinking like they might be on a diet and they might be really well intended with everything that they're doing. There might be some mess ups here and there. They might have coffee and it might have some sugar in it. It might have some extra calories. They're not really paying attention. Maybe they have a soft drink, in the middle of the day that has a little bit more calories than they're anticipating and stuff like that. And then they'll have like a salad because they're trying to make healthy decisions, not recognizing that the dressing could have 20 or 30 grams of fat, which is just a real giant bomb into somebody's overall calories for the day. Yeah. And they could be frustrated and say, well, I ate pretty good. The last couple of days, I felt like I was on point. I had a salad, I had this, I had that. And they really did make a good effort. But they're just like, there's a little bit of like self-sabotage in there, maybe unknowingly self-sabotage that's kind of holding them back.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, that's the importance of the counting calories. Just like you're counting, I think people think of when they count calories, they have to do that for the rest of their life. Like I have to count calories forever. It's another thing that I have to do. But it's like, no, you're just, learning to teach yourself how to see portions. Like this is how I don't count a calorie at all anymore. Like at all. Like I don't measure anything. I know what things look like. I do balanced plating techniques. I use my hand, easy ones like, eat your protein, size of your palm. If you're hungry, eat the size of your hand. If your greens, take a chunk of that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Your fats are like, the size of your thumb, right? If you want more carbs, you're hungry, have it the size of your hand, but like, try to not eat like that. Like you want your grains to be like more so in here. And if you look at it, a cup of rice in your hand is around 220 calories, right? So I know I know how much certain things cost in terms of calories. So when I'm eating, I'm conscious of like, I know the portions, and that's all you're doing is like understanding portions. And then that's where you want to be. So you can actually have balance. That's the whole thing. Grand scheme of this is like, how can I create balance in my life to be able to, if I'm trying to lose weight, I'm eating enough calories to do so, but not doing extra cardio that's going to make me that much hungrier, or eating way too less food and then I can't really lose that much weight anymore. I think that's a big thing too, is people think that you can just, I guess that's why I think calories in, calories out, it's good as a good start, but it's too vague. It's like, you can't just continue to lower your calories and expect to lose weight. Yeah. There's a point where it's like, your body's gonna be like, no, like you're not just, I'm sorry, you can't. And I think people think that you can just continue. I get a lot of people like, I'll get clients that'll come in like, I can't lose any more weight. I don't know what's happening. Blah, blah. There'll be like 250-pound men who are eating 1,500 calories. And I'm like, cool. How long did you lose? And how long do you do this for? A few months. How big were you before? 300 pounds. Great. You lost the weight. And guess what? Now you can't. And now you're also doing more cardio. So like you can't, like your body's not going to continue to let you lose calories.
So in that type of situation, what do you do for the person if they're trying to still long-term lose more body fat? How do you get them out of that situation and then help them continue to start making progress again?
So the type of things I look at, what are they doing? Like if we have like our general first conversation, I kind of like act as like a therapist, whatever. And I'll sit there and listen to what they say. And I'll listen, they'll say they're eating little amount of food. Okay. Yeah. They've lost a bunch of weight. They're eating a little amount of food. And, they're doing a bunch of cardio, right? Mm-hmm. They're overdoing exercise and they're under eating a lot. Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, so what we can do is like, let's just decrease the amount of cardio you're doing and let's increase a little bit of the food you're eating. Because the reason why they're not losing any more weight is because, or the weight loss is stalling is because people understand like when your metabolism slows down in terms of like your overall non-exercise activity thermogenesis is, you put it this way, you don't have a pep in your step anymore. You're doing this. Mm-hmm. There's amount of calories to do this, right? Holding my body up in good posture is burning calories, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This doesn't take that many calories, right? When you're walking and your stride is a certain length, then now your stride is smaller or slower. All those things happen. So what I try to do is like find the areas where we can find success. So if he's eating way too many, he or she's eating way too many calories and doing too much cardio, Well, I'm going to increase your calories by decreasing your output of cardio.
Yeah.
Right. And then watch your body on a week to week basis. If we're seeing a change, okay, now you're still losing weight, which is good. We decrease your calories or your cardio, and you are losing more weight. Why? Because now you have more energy to go on the treadmill or whatever and lose weight. I'll do the same thing with adding actually more food in their diet. I've had a client came to me from his old coach. He lost 100 pounds during prep.
Yeah.
And he lost most of that weight by adding more food. So I bring up 1,500 calories. This guy was literally eating, he was like yoked. But like he was one of those, those old pictures on in magazines where it's like the before and after creatine picture. And they got the guy's jacked, and you got the guy's like big old stomach, and but he's got this. That was basically that guy. And I gave him more food. I gave him more food on a week to week basis, like 200 calories. I'd feed him up, and then he'd lose, and he got to a place where he was performing more. His performance increased. Yeah. And then now he's starting to lose some fat. And now we got him up there again. Now we can kind of start decreasing back down again. So that's what one of the main things I do with clients, just like finding where we can make the correction that's good. That's making you not lose weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think about when someone's deep into a diet, sometimes they start to feel really weak, and like their weights that they're moving start to really shut down. Their performance, like even with doing something like cardio, is going to be a little bit lower. But you just got to think about like what's the accumulative effect of not being able to deadlift 225. Like normally, maybe you go in and you do a handful of sets with 225 for some stiff leg deadlifts or something. Well, now because you've been dieting for so long, like 135 kind of feels weird. And so maybe even skip it. And you're like, I'm going to just work hamstrings some other way. And you do like a different exercise. These are things that happen to people that they're not even really sometimes aware of. And I'm not even just talking about the bodybuilding culture. Yeah. It also happens with regular folks just trying to lose weight. Yeah. And they're not really recognizing their motivation for the gym is in that reduced caloric state. Yeah. Like part of it has to do with calories.
Yeah, 100%. It's my analogy I like making is like a locomotive, right? You're old locomotives, you put coal and all of a sudden it gets a burst, right? That's basically what you do is like especially when you're losing fat or you're in a contest prep, your goal is to try to keep your performance up as much as you can with what you have, right? So like it's always good to, when you're going down, and you start seeing like the body signs or the bio signs of your performance is starting to decrease, your sleep is starting to is rocky, your recovery isn't there. All these things are good reasons to make a change in terms of like your caloric intake, and that could just be like add 100 calories of fat on a day to day and see what that happens. And I've done that. That's one of my favorite. I think it's one of the easiest things to do. When you see somebody stall,
just 100 calories, not 100 grams, 100 calories.
100 calories. Gotcha. Yeah. 100 calories is 100 calories would be like a tablespoon of peanut butter, a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Yeah. And like it's super small. And there's also one of those good things too, is like someone who's trying to put on mass and they don't want to over tap out their carbs, because everyone's like, I want to eat more carbs. And they're like, I can't eat any more food. Probably not. Like it's tough to eat that much food, especially if you're weighing too many and if you're putting too much emphasis on carbs. When you can easily just add like some extra peanut butter or oil or fats into your diet that are gonna, have have a better outcome in the long run anyway. So I think in the end, most of the time, if you emphasize more fats in either way, whether you're going up or down, that's gonna be one of the best, I would say, tools to use to help continue your journey in losing fat and or so building muscle as well too.
What do you think is maybe one of the simplest things to tell your average person to help them lose some weight? Like what's maybe, if you could kind of sum something up in like a sentence or two?
Oof. Whoa, what? That's the hardest question I've got in my life.
Just something they can grab a hold of and like they
put
can
the fork
down. Yeah, there you go.
Right? No, not that.
Well, you did mention earlier about like eating whole foods. Yeah, so obviously something like that's going to be really effective because it's just a little harder to overeat those foods.
Yeah, it's if you want to lose weight, the easiest way to lose weight and to avoid being hungry is prioritize your fat and prioritize your protein and your fiber. Those are three things that when it comes to I forgot the word,
like satiation.
Of whatever. Anyway, satiation. In the end, those things are harder to take more energy to digest.
Thermic effect.
Thermic effective food. Yes, thank you. You're awesome. give the man an award. So those things, fats, fiber, and protein, are going to, in the end, have more effect on your body in the long run to mitigate, hunger. It's more satiating, and it makes you feel full.
Yeah.
Right. So I think those things alone, like, if you can get in your calorics, deficit, prioritizing that, like if you're doing 101 grams of protein per body weight, it covers the basics for everybody. Whether you're, a young teen, mid-20s, or you're an elderly population, you're covering your ass in protein. You don't have to eat that much, but you're covering it.
Yeah.
If you're doing I think men, it's 30 grams or 40 grams of fiber in your diet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's it's 30 to 50. 30 grams for women, I think, and then 50 for men of fiber. And then if you did 20 to 30% of your entire calories coming from fat, and then fill the rest, do that first, and then fill the rest with your carbs, your simple sugar carbs, your grains, your rice, your potatoes, whatever, and have that. I think it's easier. I've done this with most of my clients, to be honest. That helps a lot with keeping their hunger cues down. It's easier to adhere to their diet.
Yeah.
You're trying to mitigate all the sugar spikes. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Are you at all concerned with because again, kind of the YouTube space and all this stuff will bring up seed oils and how that's gonna do this and that. So do you have people even worry about that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's the thing. I make it. I'm practical, right? I try to give practical examples, or just you sure it's one thing? You know what I mean? Like one seed oil, that one thing is the reason why people are obese. It's like whenever someone brings up something and it's one thing, whether it's like a diet and it's like that one thing in the diet is a game changer, or if you take out this one thing that's a game changer, that is a red flag for me, right? And it's like, again, if you're worried about seed oils, then I hope you're not drinking alcohol, smoking weed, not putting on sunscreen, like all the things that there's, so when it comes to seed oils and stuff like that, it's like, let's chill out. No. Yeah, you just got to explain things to them in a way where they can just hear it better and more practical. You know what I mean? But yeah.
What do you think of helping out Kenny today with some bodybuilding as we were doing, and then also some posing and stuff?
Loved it. Coaching is. I've been coaching my entire life. I have since I was young. I was coaching, whether it was music, art, or snowboarding, or football. It's been my first love is being able to share somebody and break it down for them. I love watching people figure it out from their own.
Yeah.
Cause it's the most empowering thing ever. When it comes to coaching and stuff, it's you get paid and all, but seeing somebody being I can do this. I've envisioned this thing and I now can control the outcome is the most rewarding thing. So seeing Kenny today, especially when we did I showed him how to open up his back,
mm-hmm.
and he was doing this, and he was and I'm this guy's got a dope back. I get him to do this, and then he was boom, he's oh, I feel this, and if you can get a perfect timing of a picture of the way he felt, and then what came from it was his back looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It went from being you got a nice back to being dope, and then that dope was sick. It was in his head. It was I feel it.
Yeah.
And then now he gets to practice that over and over again. And to be able to share that with somebody is it's just, you can't beat that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Find me, JonniShreve.com. You want to hire me for online coaching, whether it's lifestyle or contest prep. I got a sale going on still right now to the end of this month. JonniShreve.com. It's very easy. Everything is just Jonni Shreve. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Jonni Shreve. And I think I'm the only one. I better be. I got a trademark.
That's a good name, dude.
Yeah.
Jonni Shreve. It's
Appreciate it.
yeah.
You have supplements too, right?
I do. So Blue Star Nutraceuticals, not mine, but like I
rep
Blue
company,
Star Nutraceuticals. They are a great brand. We cover all the basics from, creatine. Our status is a test booster. I'm telling you right now, it does not do what steroids does whatsoever. It has Tonkat Ali in it. It's really good to help with, if it gives you a 1-2% increase, it's great. We have, omega 3s, our protein, our intra workout BCA / is more of a hydrator with the electrolytes, coconut water powder and picolim sea salt. So all those things we have, head over Blue Star Nutraceuticals, use the code that will be in there. That is a good code. That's a good code. It's a code's not going to get you cancer. I promise you.
Appreciate
it. This is a good code. We're good. Use that code. Get a discount from myself. So yeah, there you go.
Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, hello there. You made it to the end of the video, which means that you'll like this video. It's another deep dive. I'm pretty sure you're going to like it. And, well, at this point, you're probably still here because you just want to hear what I'm going to tell you about this video, right? Well,
say something.
no.